A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web's free thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, that's fail safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Well, hello everybody, welcome.
Hello.
Sorry for being slightly late, but it wouldn't be open bar if we weren't late. You know, we can't do this on time. It just doesn't fit.
5 minutes. We were walking in the doors. That counts.
Yeah, and MauLer started asking questions, and then we got into a
did.
long discussion, and you know how it is. It's always the same way. But hey,
It is
we're
always
here
the same
now.
way where you're like, why aren't we streaming this conversation? You're like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, you
Every
guys
time.
just get the absolute dregs of our conversation. There's pure gold going on behind the scenes, but we just
saving all of it.
Yeah, it never
For
never
rainy
works out.
day.
Yeah. But oh well, we are here right now, and as has become the tradition, let's talk a little bit about the year that matches up with our open bar, and in this case, well, it's going to be 1928. Cast your minds back and pretend that it's the year of our Lord 1928.
Yeah, I remember that year. Good
Yeah,
year.
it was good. In that year, penicillin got discovered by Alexander Fleming, a Scottish guy. Just want to say,
not bad,
like,
not bad.
saved probably billions of lives throughout human history. Accidentally discovered penicillin on mold. And this led to the development of antibiotics, which have saved many people throughout the century or so. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Also, the first transatlantic television signal was broadcast from London to New York by John Logie Baird. And we actually talked about him just like a couple of weeks ago. So like a couple of years previously, he'd just been experimenting in a lab. Then there he is, transmitting the first transatlantic television signal. And there you go. Also, though, the Afghan Civil War began in November of that year. Arguably, it's still going on right now. So, you know, they got their style locked in early, I suppose. And also, in the UK, it was the Equal Franchise Act was passed, which granted men and women equal voting rights at the age of 21.
Well.
Been downhill ever since then, really. We never should have done it, but what can you do? In terms of movies, though, what did we get? Steamboat Willie premiered, which was the first ever appearance of Mickey Mouse. You might have heard of him. He became a thing. It's quite popular.
Became public. What was it called again? Why am I
public domain?
That's the one. How long ago? Like a year or something?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. It's like you'd think it would be 100 years, in which case it would have been, 2028. But
I just thought that Disney would never let it happen. They'd find some devil deal, evil Nosferatu level ritual.
Well, yeah, but it's like you don't own. The Mickey Mouse isn't public domain. Steamboat Willie is.
No, I know.
Earlier incarnation, but yeah, if you have a mind, you can do whatever you want to him. Anything.
Oh my god.
Anyway, there's probably all kinds of horrific stuff being created already. Also, RKO Productions was created in that year. So I didn't think Ryan Kinel was active back then, but I guess he's older than he looks. So there you go. And also, we talked about like the development of, the move from silent films over to the talkies. And this was the first year where we got an all talkie movie, which was Lights of New York. So it was the first 100% talkie feature film in that the dialogue was spoken throughout the movie instead of just little snippets and bits of sound effects here and there. So yeah,
well.
That was it. 1928. There was no going back from that. And also the biggest movie of the year was The Singing Fool, which made 3.8 million at the box office. So there you go. Anyway, that was the year. And I've educated you guys long enough, so it's time to bring in our panel so we can get dumber by the second. So how about we bring them in?
Yeah, all right, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, we've got Ryan Kinel from RK Outpost, the Despot of Antrim, and Chris Gore from Film Threat. Welcome aboard, my friends.
I was unaware that I forgot about in year of our Lord 1928 that I had put in the patent for that or whatever. But
I know, good one, Ryan. You planned ahead for this one. You got in at the ground floor with the whole TV thing.
Yeah, well, now I'm public domain, I suppose. So fuck me.
Oh God, no,
dear.
right?
Yeah, they will actually.
There's already a Steamboat Willie horror film that's coming out.
Mickey's Mousetrap.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was that,
awesome.
and there's another one. So
There's going to be a porn parody as well. There's got to be.
It's
I
a
think they had those already.
it's a kind of
Well,
mini.
probably.
It's a mini cinematic universe now. It's called the Pooniverse, I think. After
yes,
Winnie the Pooh.
I've seen all the films. They're all.
I've only
terrible.
seen Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, which is I mean
what is
I
that
can't
like?
even. It's like a bad student movie. That's what
But
it's like.
It made a lot of money.
Yeah, because it cost
was
$5 and it made like 2 million.
Well,
Is it just ghosting on the name, though, and
60
the novelty
grand, but
value?
It made a lot of money. So kind of crazy.
Wow.
Well, that's their business model. They make these insanely cheap, absolutely god awful garbage movies and market them as your favorite little childhood heroes are going to get butchered, and they're terrible. But
Was there any entertainment value at all?
In
No,
Winnie the
it's
Pooh
really
1,
entertaining.
no. Well, I didn't
Oh.
find any entertainment value. I thought it was just like a bad student movie. It's the kind of thing you just get bored of in 5 minutes. Maybe the other ones are better. I don't know. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was the first one, so it's probably the worst one.
Blood and Honey 2 was actually very good. It kind of they're very self-aware, mocking and whatnot. So I kind of think, for what they made, I mean, I'd rather see that than the shit that
I tell you what, man, I would rather see
Hollywood?
that than half the Oscars movies. I'm watching all the Oscars movies.
you're not
and
an-
you
it
haven't
is
seen Amelia
bollocks.
Perez yet. You
I was
should
going to
see
say, you're
that,
not a fan of
uh,
Amelia
yeah.
Perez. I got nominated
Not-
for every Oscar ever.
Not just that, like they do this every year. Half the movies they nominate are just pretentious, boring shit every year.
Yeah, but
I
at
think
least the pretentious, boring shit ones, the critics basically universally love it, and like the 5 people that went to a theater and saw it, they liked it too. Whereas Amelia Perez is like
Nobody had fucking heard of it before the Oscar nominations.
the only reason I'd heard of it was because some of the cringe shit that was going on with it and the trans stuff, and Selena Gomez, before she did the crying video about people getting deported, like she was under fire because she's Mexican American. Her, like, on her father's side, they're of Mexican heritage, mom's side's Italian, whatever, right? But she claims that 3rd generation Mexican American, but she can't speak Spanish. She speaks Spanish throughout this movie, and apparently she's really shit at it. Like, she has a terrible accent. So Mexican people were getting fucking pissed off about the way their country was represented. The guy who made the movie is French, hates musicals, and doesn't speak Spanish, but he made a Spanish-speaking musical in Mexico. So the whole thing's a mess. There's people coming at it from all sides. GLAAD is upset because they feel like the movie, it does a really poor portrayal of trans people because it portrays trans people as liars. Weird,
Yeah, it's
huh?
Well,
bizarre.
isn't this particular trans person like a mass murdering cartel boss?
Correct.
No,
correct.
Like an absolutely
I
horrible
would-
person, but because they become trans, like that absolves them of all their past misdeeds, and they become just a lovely person. Then
The
Yes,
line is, I don't know Monitas. I think Monitas is the name of the gang lord. And then after he gets his transition, what's her name? The Avatar actress, we call her.
Zoe Saldana.
So Zoe
Yeah.
Saldana goes over to him and she's talking to him about it. And then he says, Monitas, I don't know Monitas. I'm a different person now. And that's just it. So it's not him. I mean, it's not
Wow.
her. She is a trans woman now. So no responsibility.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I actually saw it. Did anyone else see it?
Yeah. So
No,
So no one else saw it. Okay, Gary saw it. I don't
yeah,
know
he's
why.
just put a video out on it. I don't know
put
why
a
he
video.
watched it.
I recommend seeing it. I mean, this is a movie that it's a weird experimental film. Should never have gotten all this Oscar noms. The only reason it did, neurotic. He played a dude for a third of the film, nominated for Best Actress. Right. Watch Gary's video. It just dropped. This movie is like a weird experimental foreign film. I'm used to seeing stuff like that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. This is Mrs. Doubtfire with a trans person. That's what this movie is. And ultimately, if John Waters had made it starring Divine, it would have been funny, but it's dismissible. The fact that it's gotten more Oscar noms than The Godfather at 13 Oscar noms, that's the reason people should be outraged. In addition to the slot of the best actresses, someone was pushed out. Either Nicole Kidman or Angelina Jolie did not get a nom because this person took a slot. That is the real key here. Those are the things that I think are worthy of discussion. The movie itself is just I see weird indie movies all the time. That's what my channel does. We talk about that stuff. There are good ones and bad ones. This one is like, Okay, I get it. But that many Oscar noms, insane. By the way, the reason, real quick, that it got so many Oscar noms is Netflix hired Harvey Weinstein's old publicist, who was really good at securing nominations. That's why Netflix every year with, to be fair, some good movies and some shit movies. All Quiet on the Western Front I happen to really like. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone saw that.
No,
That
that's
was very-
superb.
That
was
one
a
was
great
excellent.
movie.
But a lot of subpar movies are getting Oscar noms, this one included. And they really pushed it. I mean, look, they sent me an Amelia Perez hat.
Oh
Now,
wow, that's really
now-
gonna win you over, Chris.
That is going in the mail for to Gary for his video. But this is how they push with like merch and whatnot. So look, I'm just shocked that what the Academy is saying by giving so many nominations to this film. What does it say? I think it's a pushback against Trump winning. I think it's really them saying, F you, we're going to hold the line. We're going to be just as insufferable as we've been these last 4 years.
Well, I mean, it's great. Like I've got to admire their strategy because it's almost like,
Right.
haha, screw you, we're gonna make ourselves bankrupt. Then what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
I think it's
'Cause,
gonna
like,
I think it's gonna backfire on them. Not just because 13 nominations, blah blah, all this stuff, but specifically the Best Actress nomination.
Yeah.
Because now you have a group of people, all these women in Hollywood who are all about female empowerment and are supporting like all this bullshit. Well, now they're at a point where, this is fucked up now. Like, okay, whatever. We support trans rights, blah, blah, blah. But now it's affecting us. Now we have a trans person who's undeserving of this award being nominated in our category. We have a man who's about to win Best Actress, and one of us will not. And I think that's going to start like this internal friction. And I think a lot of these people are going to start like peeling themselves away or tearing themselves apart. It's going to be weird.
Do you think the Oscars has any change in its like general respect, or as in like what people think of the Oscars as a result of all of this? Or because didn't they have like an all-time low a few years back?
They did, yeah. And like I think last year they were relatively quiet and like not particularly political. It felt like very subdued after like the previous one with like the Will Smith slap and everything. And like, yeah, no, it was almost like they were kind of shocked into a bit of I don't know, good behavior. And maybe you can see this as a bit of a rebound. I was just curious as well, because this movie was nominated for Best Original Song as well. Like that was one of the many Oscars that it was nominated for, but Wicked didn't get a nomination.
It's not
That's
that
just
song,
finding-
is it? Like the one that everyone was
The
sharing.
vaginoplasty
Penis to
song.
vagina.
It's not that one,
I
right?
mean, I just
Sing it, Ryan.
I bet that's all I know. From man to woman, or woman to man, man to woman, from penis to vagina.
See, that's the.
I
I've
see,
seen
I
that clip,
see,
and
I
I'm just like, they must have known, right, when they were filming it, that this is a piece of shit. I was like, they have to. When I saw
That's
that,
the
I was like,
thing
there's
as
no
well,
fucking
like,
way.
all politics aside, all trans stuff aside, this movie is fucking terrible. Like the plot is a series of non sequiturs. So you've got Zoe Saldana, and she's a lawyer, and then the main character changes, and the main character is now a gangster, and then he disappears, and then it's back to Zoe Saldana, and then he comes back, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then they kidnap her because that's what happens in narco movies, and then there's a big shootout. It's just a bunch of non sequiturs. It's like the plot was written by a 14-year-old. It's really bad. The music is absolutely dreadful. The acting isn't particularly good, and that includes the main guy who plays Monita. He's not very good. When he plays Monita, he just kind of talks like this the whole time.
Well, that sounds
whispering.
exactly like a Mexican gangster.
Yeah, whispering at Zoe Saldana, and his body language is kind of laid back, and it's really cringy and bad. And then when he's the woman, it's just bizarre. It's not a good performance. It's not terrible, but it's not. Jesus, it's not Oscar worthy. Like it's a really bad movie. Even even if you're like a full on trans maniac, you love all the trans shit. It's still a terrible movie. It's bloody awful, and the Oscars have just. Chris, is there any appetite at all for reform in the Oscars? Is there any voices of sanity saying, guys, this has gone too far? We need to reform. We're a laughing stock.
No, there's none, as in zero. They have completely bent over to these, the DEI rules, about diversity for Oscar Best Picture nominees. And look, I like bad movies. We were talking about the Poonaverse earlier, right? But this is a plot to a John Waters movie. I don't know if you know the John Waters film, Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, Polyester,
Classics.
classics that starred Divine. Now, if John Waters made Amelia Perez with Divine or a drag queen, it would be funny. His John Waters' early stuff is really funny, and it has little bits of social commentary, but he only cares about being funny, and he rips everybody. So I love John Waters. It's the weirdest. I look at Amelia Perez. I put that on a list of I can't believe this movie even got made. Because it's so bizarre as you describe. I mean,
there's a question here from Strange Days. Says, does Amelia Perez embody or capture the philosophy of what woke virtue signaling is, or it's more like a French wanker McDonald attempt to do chicken sushi? Sorry, I'm on my second sake, by the way. It's I don't know. Is it almost self-aware in how bad it is, or
it genuinely thinks of itself as profound and like it has something really important to say about society. So, for example, there's a scene. Zoe Saldana is used. This is so bizarre. So Zoe Saldana is in her house, and Monitas, the gangster, sends one of his boys into her house and puts a plastic bag over her head and like threatens to suffocate her if she doesn't find a doctor for him to transition with. And then in the next fucking scene, after he has almost murdered her in her own home, she is defending him as someone who is changing his soul through his transition. She says, changing the body changes the soul, changing the soul changes society. Therefore, once he goes through his transition, he's no longer morally culpable. There's no longer any accountability for his crimes against humanity. That is the depraved, twisted moral center of this movie. The idea is basically if a man gets castrated, he is absolved of all his crimes. So good news, drinker.
I'm trying to think of what to say with that one. Sounds like some commie gobbledygook to me.
I mean, the trans community doesn't even like this movie. This movie is hated in Mexico. It's I don't know. I think it might just win a couple awards here and there. If this person wins for Best Actress, it will begin a conversation. So I am rooting for Amelia Perez to sweep the Oscars. And then maybe they'll make this big poster that Netflix sent me worth some money. And
oh wow,
Ryan, it'll look great on your wall.
Oh my God. Is that autographed?
Did they actually send that framed to you?
It's autographed and framed. I'm going to keep the frame though. You can have the poster.
Yeah. Get something good in that.
The frame is worth money. But yeah, that's what they said. I mean, look, by the way, all the studios send garbage to people. I'm in the CCA, this organization called the Critics' Choice Awards. And I vote. I'm one voting member. So is Alan Ng. And I don't think I voted for Amelia Perez for anything. But, I voted for Dune Part 2 a lot. I thought
that's the crazy thing is like, Denis not getting nominated for Dune Part 2 as Best Director.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the more overlooked things. And wasn't the director for Amelia Perez nominated?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
It's
like
so weird.
That's fucking wild. Regardless of if you did or didn't maybe like the adaptation side of it. That is one of the only movies that I felt that came out this year that was a true like cinematic fucking experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was due to the direction of him in the movie.
And I'll say this, the kinds of movies that the Oscars nominate says something about our world, right? Think back to 2000, Gladiator won, swept Best Picture, right? And that was not only a artistically excellent movie, it was a popular movie. And it had something to say. And since then, it's been a steady decline where the movies that are popular box office that have that resonate with people are not getting the Oscar noms. I mean, the year that Moonlight won, when was the last time you popped in your Moonlight disc? I guarantee none of you. I saw that movie all of once, and that director, Barry Jenkins, went on to make the Mufasa film for children. I don't know if you know about the story of Moonlight.
Mm-mm.
About a young black boy's awakening to his gay feelings, and he becomes a drug dealer, and just
he
it's
becomes the
all-
president of the United States.
Yeah, no, it's but it's like it's
Oh.
typical small indie movie that should be awarded at the Spirit Awards, but not the Oscars. The Oscars used to be mainstream. It's not. Even the movies they choose, it's not mainstream. And
I think there's a kind of snooty elitism now to it, where
Yeah.
there's this assumption that any movie that achieves mainstream success is just for normies. It's for the plebs. It's not for the elite like us, your true film appreciators, and like it has to be some obscure little thing, or it has to push some particular agenda in order to even be considered. And that's how you alienate your audience. That's how you make your award ceremony irrelevant.
well, Deadpool and Wolverine should have gotten something. Costume, effects, something. They missed a huge opportunity. And I can share something here by the numbers. If
Wait,
you
the
can
crazy
look-
thing is, last year Oppenheimer won.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
And that was obviously, I thought it was a really well done movie. It made a lot of fucking money. And it felt like, hey, maybe there's something here, right? But now it's just back to the fucking garbage pile.
These are the movies, the number of Oscar noms that they received, other organizations where they were nominated, and then look at the box office for these films. I mean, the highest is Wicked, but
Yeah.
and then Dune Part 2, but everything else are these tiny movies. Now, look, I love a small indie movie like anyone else. They have their place. They're great, but you can't it's not mainstream. Like there used to be a correlation, like it happens on Rotten Tomatoes, when the audience and critic score is about the same. Like that movie really had some kind of effect, but even the ceremony itself, it used to be like the Super Bowl, right? Like, huge ratings, everyone watched it, topic of conversation. It was worth discussing, and it's become a less and less relevant event. So there
I
you go.
agree. No, I agree 100%. I just I'm intrigued by my old ass.
It's a very fun little movie that got, a couple of noms. It's worthwhile. Aubrey Plaza's in it. It's a funny little indie comedy. It's fine. But when you look at that 13, it's kind of embarrassing. Thank you, Despot, for doing God's work and seeing the movie. It's someone has to.
Yeah, it's horrendous. If you look at the Razzies nominations, they're far more. The public actually know what the movies are. They're far more recognizable to the public than the Oscars. It used to be the reverse. Everyone would know what the Oscars movies were, and then you'd go to the Razzies for a laugh, and you'd like, "What the fuck is that?" But now it's the complete reverse. Everybody knows Joker 2 and Borderlands and the other rubbish that was nominated for the Razzies, and no one has heard of most of this Oscars trash.
I think there is a balance to be struck there, because I totally get the point of it in that, you can't just consider like big, like mainstream, movies that make at least $500 million for Oscar nominations. There are a lot of smaller films out there that don't necessarily get a huge amount of commercial success, but they might have amazing performances or an incredible story or whatever. And it's great to recognize them. But man, there has got to be a balance there. And particularly when it's so heavily politicized, and you know exactly why Emilia Perez got so many nominations. We know why. And it's not to do with the quality of the acting or the great story that it's telling. It's because it has the right politics, and it deals with issues that Hollywood just fucking loves. And yeah, I think that there definitely needs to be that rebalancing of how they adjust or how they look at these movies and how they consider them. I don't know exactly I don't know how they're going to fix it, but they need to do something.
The first thing they should do is stop nominating so many fucking movies. Every year they're nominating 10 movies every year, and it's too many because a movie nomination is like a tattoo. Every additional one you get kind of cheapens the rest of them, and it's like you need to stop nominating so many movies because it devalues the nomination itself. Just pick 5 movies. 5 is plenty. Okay, if you look at the Oscar nominations this year, there's probably not even there's 4 or 5 good ones and then 5 just rubbish. And it was the same last year as well, and the same year before that. So stop nominating so many movies. That's the first thing they should do. If they have even the slightest interest in reforming and making themselves culturally relevant again, which obviously they don't, because they'd rather sniff their own farts.
Because I did think, like, okay, there's obviously been certain political events in America that have really like indicated a change in the culture, and a change in what people are willing to tolerate and what they are not. And I did wonder, are Hollywood going to get the message on this one? Perhaps not.
No, they haven't, because they voted for these Oscar films after the election.
That's what I wondered, because I know it.
In January was the voting, so this was almost a response to that. It's like, oh yeah, we're going further this way. So I think it's a reaction to Trump's election. Why?
I mean, a lot of it is going to be very telling on the night when the ceremony happens and when everyone goes up on stage to collect their awards, and just whether or not they're going to soapbox it and make some political statement or just focus on the movie. I don't know.
And I hear this year, some years they've done this thing where they bring all the nominees on stage and kind of praise them and then pick the person. The moment of the evening is going to be all the women on stage with the Amelia Perez nominee and watch the faces of the other actresses. We'll see how really good their acting is when the winner is announced. And I am rooting for Amelia Perez. Rooting. I hope it's a sweep. So, yeah.
I like this one as well. As bad as the Oscars are, let's just be grateful that none of Destiny's indie films got any nominations.
Oh,
I think we could all do without seeing them.
I still don't know anything about that and don't care. He's a shithead from the beginning. I don't care about him. So.
I think you definitely do not want to see any of the things that he has recorded in his spare time. Put it that way.
There you go.
Dude has had a bad couple of weeks. I think he's lost about 15,000 subscribers recently. So, yeah, not too good. But oh well, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, I would say. Let's do a quick check-in, shall we, on Snow White and the trailer for it, because at last count, it's sitting at 8 million views. It's got 40,000 upvotes, so let's give it a little round of applause for that. Well done. And it's also got 1 million downvotes. It's reached the big one. So that gives it a 96% downvote ratio, which I think makes it one of the worst trailer ratios on the whole of YouTube ever.
It is the worst. I checked for my last video. I checked, and I think last year the two most ratioed were the Magical Society of Magical Negroes that got 91% dislike, and Snow White has 96%. And incidentally, Amanda Stenberg's Discourse video also got 96% dislike.
Wow.
Ooh, wow. Not my remix, though. I think my remix is pretty low.
It's superb.
That gets recommended to me like every fucking day. Every day I scroll through YouTube, I see my face superimposed on Amanda Stenberg's afro head. Harry Chan.
I didn't. It wasn't until I did my Acolyte video just recently I came to appreciate how hot she actually is when she's properly dressed up. Like, I did not see that coming at all.
She's top gear. There's no question. And it's a good reminder, you know, because as a society, we sort of put beautiful women on a pedestal, and you're like, no, they could be absolutely horrible people.
Amanda,
everybody else.
You were so incredibly cringe. People didn't realize you were hot. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, all the comments in my video were like, if she'd been wearing that dress or looking like that during the Acolyte, I would have watched it.
Disney have this amazing ability. They make women look uglier. Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you ever see Echo, that stupid show about the deaf Native American?
Yeah.
Like when I saw her like at the actual premieres, it's like she's a nice looking woman. She's not incredible or anything, but she's pretty. But she looked like shit in that show.
We should also point out she was like pregnant for some of like the reshooting of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
fair enough.
I do think that's one of the reasons that she maybe looked a little bloated and also was covered up in like certain ways because she was like they had to deal with that.
I'd been told by someone who worked in wardrobe like way before it came out that there was the pregnancy, I think, for the reshoots, but she also had put on like 20 pounds since she did Hawkeye, and that was like, yeah, she looked like shit in the costumes. She was pretty uncomfortable with it, and like, you know, it was just kind of a bad situation all around. But it's like, well, this is your starring moment, man. You'd think you could at least get into the gym and get in shape for it, but I guess
Did anybody see Argyle? Like, I know Bryce Dallas Howard. she came on set. She must have been at least 50 pound overweight, and I was just
Maybe
it cost,
50,
it cost
but yeah, she's definitely big.
$200 million budget, and look at fucking what Chris Hemsworth does, right? For his roles, like
Right.
that guy absolutely tortures his body. Like, and he does these carb cycling, and he does dehydration for his scenes. Like he damages his body to look like that. And then, Bryce Dallas Howard shows up like that. And if you say anything about it, you're a sexist.
Yeah, it's
Well,
the same thing with a
I
lot of
think-
male actors, right? That's like to be expected and understood that that's what they're going to do to try to make sure they're believable in these roles and all this shit. Chris Pratt, same thing. Whatever he's doing, he'll transform his body for it. But yeah, you look at Bryce Dallas Howard through those Jurassic World movies. As her waistline went up, the box office results went down, right?
Because that she can get in shape because she did it for the first one, and she was looking great in that one. Like she was properly, she was built for that.
And in the second one, she's like, okay, she got a little thick, but all right.
Well,
And that
you
third
could
one
tell
is
that
like,
they
it's
were
like
having
keep her in
to.
the fucking flannel. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell they were having to cover up, and it's like she's got more and more layers on with each movie, and it's like, okay, I know what you're trying to hide here. And then by the time she does Argyle, it's like no fucks were given anymore. It's just like just roll her onto set and do what you can with it.
Roller.
And you know what? I'm not like, because it might seem like I'm being harsh, but Despot's exactly right. Like,
Yeah,
I've got no sympathy for people like this, because it's like your one fucking job is to get in shape for the role that you're playing. Okay, you don't have a day job that you have to go to. You don't have other responsibilities. Yeah, the studio will assign you a personal trainer. They'll come up with an exercise plan and a fitness regime and dieting and everything for you. You just have to stick to it. That's it. And you're going to get paid $10-15 million for doing it. And you can't even manage that.
You can even take if you really need to, you can do what all the guys in Marvel do. You can take drugs to get your body to look like that, because they all do that. There's no way they can look like that without juicing.
The Marvel, they've got like a 6 or 8 week program where they tell them exactly what to eat, exactly how to work out, and what drugs to inject into themselves to turn like Paul Rudd into the Paul Rudd we had seen like the entirety of his career into who we saw in Ant-Man, right? It's like,
yeah, because he's like 50 and he's like shredded in that. Like,
Chris Pratt, it's funny because Chris Pratt was still doing Parks and Rec. Right, he was still playing Andy Dwyer in Parks and Recreation when he got the job for Guardians of the Galaxy. And in between seasons, he lost all the weight and got fucking jacked, right? And obviously it was weird, right, to see like this season difference. So they just did one thing. Adam Scott's character, they're just walking up the stairs, and he's like, "Man, you look really good, man." He's, "Oh, thanks, man." He said, "Really? All you stopped doing was drinking beer?" He's like, "Yep, that's it." And they just moved on from it. That was how they addressed his body transformation in the show.
It is funny though, because in every Marvel movie where there's a dude, he'll have a shirtless scene, and obviously he's going to get in shape for that. Why is there no shirtless scenes for the girls? I wonder. There's not even like a bikini scene or anything. There's just nothing.
The best like plot breaking body fat I remember, it was like body shape. I remember it was from Lost. Did anybody remember the show Lost?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There was a really fat guy on the island.
Harley.
But the problem
Harley.
was there wasn't Harley, but there wasn't a lot of food on the island. But the actor didn't lose any weight, and eventually this became a problem for the story. It's like, okay, the audience is wondering why this guy's able to maintain this massive body mass without all the junk food. So they made an episode where he has a stash of junk food that he got from the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to account for it in the fucking story.
I think I still love the bit in The Walking Dead where Negan is like squeezing this community for like all their resources, and like one of the women there tries to complain about it, like, "Oh, we're practically starving," and she's like massive, and he just looks at her and goes, "Really?" She just bursts out crying.
Oh yeah, but Snow White sucks.
We were talking about Snow White.
Yeah, I love how we went off on that big fat hating tangent there.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but
I mean, I think it's just Snow White. It's the most talked about movie never released.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? 2 months away? Like
2
it's
months.
March. It's coming out. Yeah. Wow.
It's gonna be bad,
dislikes.
right? Like,
No way.
so Little Mermaid. There was a lot of
That
backlash.
is some prediction, Ryan.
So what I'm saying is there's a lot of backlash towards Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid flopped, lost money at the box office. It floundered at the box office. Okay.
Ooh, sank without a
right.
trace, you might say.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. But it's a different story for this one because the backlash is overwhelming. 96 fucking percent. This is not a couple people upset about something on Twitter or whatever. There's not a couple YouTube videos going viral. This is a massive rejection of the entire thing. Out of 8 million people that watch it, only 40,000 click the like button. So to me, that's telling me that this is going to be a pretty historic flop for them.
Well, how many of those do you think are real?
It's only 40,000. Probably those ones. Yeah.
No,
If
I meant like
they weren't real, if they were fake and someone was botting it, don't you think they'd bot it to higher than fucking 40,000 likes?
That's what I'm saying. That's the actual usual bot amount. We're seeing it in totality there. Like, who the fuck would like that trailer?
Yeah, I mean, it goes beyond like just.
Wait, what?
That's him, yeah.
Oh, first I thought it was me. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, we all
no.
did until we saw each other move, I think.
Right, the way
yeah.
this thing works.
Never
is
gonna know what he said.
The stream carries on without him, right?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's back.
No, we got a frame. He's at 1 FPS.
Oh, no.
1 FPM.
Yeah.
It's like downloading porn in 2005.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
all
actually
right. He's got a
surprised.
co-host.
I was surprised Mufasa made money. I was rooting for it to bomb. My God, that movie was bad.
Oh,
Like,
sorry.
Mufasa was the last
You're
one
back.
that they did, and
Yeah, my internet
I
was
was-
glitchy a wee bit there.
I was hoping Mufasa would flop, and that would herald the end of this disgusting live action
Yeah.
remake universe. And then, but no, it made a lot of money, unfortunately.
Yes,
And-
it did.
Yeah.
So I think when it's all said and done, Mufasa's going to like kind of just barely break even in terms of what they spent on it and the marketing and the fact that so much is from the international pool.
Oh yeah,
But-
that's true as well.
But even though that's the case, what a massive disappointment. The first Lion King made 1.6, 1.7
Well,
billion.
they
This
knew
movie's
they,
making $1 billion less than that.
they
Yeah.
they knew that it was never going to make anything like $1 billion. I think because I've frozen,
Bro,
Kind of.
or is everybody else frozen?
no.
No, we're fine.
Okay.
All right.
The guy
Everyone's
with the
having internet
accent.
problems tonight. It's weird.
But no, I think Disney will take that. They'll take Mufasa's box office and they'll probably be relieved because they knew how bad it was. They didn't submit it for awards. They knew the movie was fucking terrible, and they know that they've just committed daylight robbery making box office on Mufasa because it is one of the worst movies last year.
It was so unbelievably derivative, boring. It was saturated with the message like all throughout. And just a pointless story that never needed to be told in the first place. Because, like, how far are you going to go back with this? Like, we've now got Mufasa's backstory. Well, now, like, he was at the beginning of this movie traveling with his parents. Are we then going to get a prequel for them?
I
Like,
want
and a prequel for a prequel?
There is one more movie I do want to see. I want to see the Billy Eichner Seth Rogen team up. I want them to have their own spin-off movie. I think that'll be. I've
It'll be
cried
called
tears.
That
Bros-
is
it'll be
that
called
is the
Bros too.
true that is the true meeting of anti-talent right there. Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen together in the same movie.
Their screen time together was some of the worst shit I'd seen last year. It was just nails on chalkboard, awful. I don't know what.
Yeah.
My God.
There is a Lion King 2. There was I believe it was a direct-to-video sequel about like Mufasa's kid and everything, or not Mufasa, about Simba's kid. So they could do that. I remember watching that when I was younger.
Was that called Simba's Pride? or
Yes.
something?
Was.
Oh wow,
They
more
just
nice.
Rag
all the
talks
time.
about it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, that was their strategy back in the day, wasn't it? It was like all these big box office hit movies, they would get like a direct-to-video sequel. And it was
Yeah.
all done very quietly, but it made them money.
Return of Jafar? Fuck yeah, bro. I love Aladdin 2.
And
Aladdin 3 was better. Aladdin 3, was it Prince of Thieves? King of Thieves? Something like that.
That brought
Did
back
they-
Robin Williams, right?
Wait, did they do a Bambi 2? They did. Oh my
Who dies at the
god.
beginning of that one?
2006 that came out. It's a sequel to the 1942 movie, Bambi 2.
Bambi too.
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna have to take this a moment just to process that.
I bought all those on VHS, never watched one. They were for my kid. And there was like, they're in the clamshell cases. Now those things are collectible.
Oh yeah, keep them in their wrappers.
It's
And my mom
insane.
fucking gave it to the church for some rummage sale or some bullshit. I'm like, we need to keep these. They're gonna be worth money someday.
They
Oh,
are
they
worth
got
money
them on
now.
sale. Fuck.
I love your
Well,
picture there,
Despot looks
Despot.
like he's going to get
Despot.
denied for a lift. What's going on there?
Despot transitioned. So there
Despot
you
looks like he's going to be considered for an Oscar nomination.
go. Oh my god! Wow, we didn't even plan on talking about this. It just randomly came
Sometimes-
up the Oscars.
That is what comes up, yeah. And yeah, what's that? What was that rapper's name who got the refusal for the lift because she couldn't fit in the car?
Some
I don't
fat.
know.
Oh, I don't know what
I've
Every
that
time
never
a
heard of her
rapper-
in my life.
Every time a rapper dies, it's the first time I've heard of that rapper.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought you were going to
rapper,
say an angel gets
DJ.
its wings.
yeah, I'm like everyone's upset about this. I've never heard of that person. Don't care. Don't listen. Don't know their songs.
I
Apparently
thought
Jay-Z
you were going to
is
go way
dead.
harder. I thought every time a rapper dies, an angel gets its wings.
No, no, never heard of them. Don't care.
But yeah, it's like she got refused service and she's now suing the company because the driver said, you're too big for my car.
Right.
And she weighs at least 300 pounds, if not more.
Like those
Well-
people need to be discriminated against.
Well, I'm
all right?
not-
Like those people need to be bullied. They need to be denied access to things because
Well,
it's not
it's like
reasonable.
it's like when they demand a free airline seat so their gigantic carcass can like fit into it better, like spread out over two, but they want to just pay for one. It's like, well,
If you would
no.
if you, I don't know if you saw the RFK hearings yesterday, but check this out. This is RFK getting ready for the hearing.
480.
This is if you would share screen here, drinker. This is RFK lifting the Lyft driver or the woman who was denied the lift. She's what's it, 500 pounds? He's benching there. That's pretty.
She apparently said 480.
480. Okay, under 500. Still, that's impressive. I think RFK really deserves.
I think he's doing pretty well for an old guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not bad.
I mean, it's
not
just
bad.
because that's how I saw her in the video summary of like her court case, and it's like it takes a special kind of bravery to wear an outfit like that when you're that shape.
She needs one of those moo right? That's
She
what
needs a
Homer
moo
wears.
yeah, like it worked
Moo-moo,
for
yeah.
Homer.
Yeah.
It's
I
difficult.
can't
because-
look at that anymore.
Like, it's difficult because
gonna
I
throw up a little
understand
bit.
when you need that much fabric, it does get expensive, right? Anything.
Well, their
So-
clothes should be more expensive as well. It's another way to punish them. I was thinking as well, though, right? If she couldn't get into the vehicle, right? Surely that works in her favor ultimately because she'd have to walk to her destination, which would actually help to solve her problems a little bit.
It helped Jared from Subway. So there you go.
Yeah, I think the way Jared actually lost the weight is he spent all his time looking at pictures and moving his hand vigorously. That's what I think. That's how Jared
It's got
actually
one
lost
extremely muscular arm. Like.
Yeah.
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 Almost,
The more you know.
Impressed by what the human body will do when it's forced to store that amount of mass. It like has to. Have you seen the pictures of the lady? Like I've seen more with women for some reason than men, but when it starts to store it in the forehead, like the body is like, dude, I have got no space. Like, can you
The
please?
forehead.
Yeah, the forehead. Anyone even know what I'm talking about? There's like
What, like
pictures of-
fat deposits in your head?
Yeah, like it'll overhang. There's so much fat. The body is just like, I'm desperate. I'm just shoving it anywhere.
Oh no.
And by the way, nearly 500 pounds for that lady. I think the record of all time is 1,400 pounds. Is the heaviest person that ever existed.
She ain't even halfway there.
Crikey.
I was gonna, well, it's like a third, and I was just like, what the fuck do you look like at that point? You a blimp?
I mean, just, you know, in Blade, right? The
Oh,
pearl, I
God.
think. Yeah, you would look like that. You would just kind of spill over the entire
just-
room. You'd have to get poured into like a swimming pool or something to
Dude, the
contain you.
skin at that point, having to just stretch every single day.
Probably.
I
Here we
mean,
go again.
how did we get into a position where people like that are allowed to get to that stage?
Because we don't bully people enough anymore.
And
You know,
honestly, modern
don't even know what it is,
medical
but it's-
miracles keeping them well above, like well alive, well after they should be. They would have killed themselves, you know, because you know you get the blood pressure and blood sugar treatments and stuff, and the human body is quite remarkable in terms of what it can survive. Like it just needs to knock out a few other things, but you know they never make it to what, like 50. That's like the cutoff point.
Well, yeah, it's like because you get all these like fat positivity influencers who mysteriously all die off in their 40s.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, join the dots on this one. Why do you think that is?
Have you seen? There's a viral video like that where it's like some fat positivity people being like, "Being fat is healthy," and then it just cuts to someone going, "She died." And the next guy like, "Yeah, I'm quite happy and healthy with mine." Just like he's dead.
Yeah, I know that seems cruel, but it's important to make videos like that because there are a lot of really fat, obese, overweight people out there, and they need the encouragement. They need someone to give them a kick in the ass and say, "Look, man, even the aesthetic aside, if you don't stop this, you're going to an early grave."
This is the thing as well. Like,
You
yeah,
gotta- you
because
gotta be
I
cruel
don't want
be
to.
kind. You got to
I
be cruel
don't
to be
wanna-
kind.
Yeah, because I don't want to laugh at people who are dying of this stuff, but at the same time, there's almost this delusion that it's okay, that it's healthy, like you say, MauLer. Like these people actually believe, like, oh, I can be like 200 pounds overweight and it's okay. You know, medical science is lying to us, and then they die. And it's like, but other people will hear that and believe it as well, and it's like it needs to be corrected.
There was a great philosopher in Austin Powers called Fat Bastard, and he said,
The one Scottish guy in Austin Powers, and it's Fat
Said-
Bastard.
"I eat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I eat. It's a vicious cycle." This is the thing that fat people got to crack, is you got to get out of that cycle, you know, because it'll like reverse the cycle when you start feeling better of all the different things you can do again, all the energy you have, all the doors you can fit through, like where you couldn't before. It's so cool.
There's a whole world of doors that I can go through now.
And it's, you know, it might be crude or mean or whatever, but shame is important in any society, right?
Yeah.
Shaming people keeps things in check. It keeps degeneracy in check. It keeps people like that, people from overeating to the point of ridiculousness. So not only are they just a public eyesore and a nuisance if you have to sit next to this person, they probably smell because they can't fucking lift up all their fat rolls, right? They're taxing our medical system, right? There's legit things talking about with this. And like shaming keeps those people healthier. It keeps you from doing these disgusting, disturbing behaviors that we see a lot more of nowadays. And the past several decades, in my mind, are the only time in human history where we haven't been publicly shaming people for some of the things that they're getting away with now. And I think that's why we are where we are.
We've reached peak, though. I mean, we've reached peak degeneracy. It can't get worse, can it?
Oh,
It can always get worse.
Why would you say that?
I like this one here, though. I thought I was bad being 205 pounds at 5'7", so I changed shit, and I'm now down. I've lost 30 pounds. I couldn't imagine existing a life approaching 500. Good God, cheers, gents. And yeah, good on you, man. Like you recognized the problem and you fixed it. Like that's commendable. You know, and that's why I never agree with these like people who like say they're in the gym and they spot a fat person on the treadmill and they're like, oh, I'm going to take a photo of this and like make fun of them. Like, why are you making fun of them? They're trying to like fix the problem.
Yeah.
Like they're the people you should be praising, man. It's the people who are like, 500 pounds and they're sitting there in KFC eating like a boneless bucket. Like that's the people who should be discouraged.
If they're doing everything they can to work towards it, I guess you don't really need to be doing shame at that point. But it's the ones that say it's healthy. It's like, holy shit. Like, stop.
It's about the acceptance. It's about like people trotting this person around like, oh, they shouldn't be discriminated against. This dude doesn't want to have to replace his fucking shocks. Okay. Like it's okay for someone that can't fit in a smart car to not be allowed in a smart car. Like it's okay to have a weight limit on aircraft where you're going to be disturbing the person next to you because of how big you are. Like, it's okay for us to say, no, enough is enough. You have to buy 2 tickets or whatever. And yeah, when you have people going the extra mile, the fat positivity, the fat acceptance, all this shit, it is truly destructive. And listen, I don't really fucking care. If I could be 500 pounds and it was socially acceptable and my health was terrible, I'd fucking do it. I don't care. The only reason I'm not has nothing to do with me wanting to be healthy. It's because I'm vain, right? Because I don't want to go to one of these places and look fat. That's my reasoning for doing it. I don't care if I die at 50. I don't really care about what my blood pressure is. I just don't want to look gross. So whatever anybody's fucking motivation is, it has to be something.
I'd rather not die at 50, to be fair. That's like 10 years away.
I don't want to die so that my enemies win.
Yeah. Anyway, we went off on quite the tangent there. That was a real.
Will that be cut out for the second channel? The fat people chat. Like,
Sure, yeah. Like, why
Fat
not?
wars.
Like, yeah. Drinkers, chasers. Fat people are disgusting.
you're gonna lose the fat audience. You can't say that.
They're with me on this one.
Dude.
I
just-
imagine the
I just
fat
want them to be
audience, if
better.
they're too lazy to get up and walk, they'll be too lazy to unsub. You'll be fine.
I can't click that unsub button. It's too much.
My fingers. Yeah.
They're just like they're just watching all my videos because it's like skipping to the next one and they can't be bothered like getting out of that.
Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
It's like one time on Sports Wars, I had this one person come into the chat and start bitching at me that I didn't have fucking closed captions on my videos and that they were deaf and had a fucking problem with it. So I went on this like 5-minute rant bitching about this person complaining that I didn't have closed captions. And I said, what? I guess you're fucking deaf and it doesn't fucking matter, does it?
Harsh. Anyway, well,
Yeah. I was gonna say on the sausage fingers thing, because you said
oh,
you made
God.
I know because you
I'm
said
gonna have a clip about sausage fingers now.
the Simpsons episode. You say you remember it. Do you remember when he tries to type in the fucking
Yeah.
the phone and he
The fingers you have dialed are too fat. Please. No, it's like to obtain a special dialing wand. Please mash the keypad now.
with your palm. That's order the dialing wand. I love they call it the dialing wand. It's perfect.
It's the fact that it must have happened so often that they have like an emergency
Sorry.
like message prepared for it.
Your fingers are too fat.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
fuck, I'm trying to maintain some kind of decorum in this stream. Anyways,
Dignity.
Captain America 4, right? It's coming out, and it's a movie that's had all kinds of problems, lots of negative coverage of it. It seemed like they were almost out of the woods, and then boom, Anthony Mackie steps in with this.
Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like,
Not a great start, Anthony. I'm not gonna lie. I will say, I think he recognized that he might have said the wrong thing and tried to pull it back a little bit. I'll try and play some of it. I don't want to bore you with the whole thing, but
He started going word salad with it, where he started trying to he described basically what he thinks is a good person. And then he starts in some way trying to describe what a lot of people feel is the quintessential like American dream, like any kid can grow up to be whatever they want to be type of thing.
yeah,
Right? It's very weird.
I'll let him say some of this stuff here.
it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's
Yeah, so I think the problem that he's got here is like when you say that this isn't really America isn't something that should be included in this, right? And then you go on to list all these great positive virtues. It's like you're saying, well, that doesn't really embody the spirit of America, and that's exactly what it's meant to embody. That's the whole point of Captain America. He's like old-fashioned American patriotism, honesty, doing the right thing and fighting for a good cause. Like that's the quintessential American aspiration for a hero. And I think like I was saying, I think you can recognize, and he recognized at that point that he'd fucked up, and he's like, oh, I think this could be misconstrued, because you can see how much he then ums and ahs over it while he's trying to think up his next bit. I'll play just.
He said what he said, it wasn't really unclear, that first statement.
And I think a part of this had to do with he was overseas. So I think it was in Italy, maybe somewhere in Europe.
Italy.
It was Rome, yeah. And this is I guess what I wanted to say is like, I think what had happened is,
And we lost the drinker.
Right
I
at
was
the end
just
it
gonna
is.
say the best thing.
That was perfect.
What happened last time? Go ahead, Chris.
I think this is getting overblown. I think first of all, by the way, he fucked up. He fucked up. He misspoke. He's on a press tour. He's playing to the room, not the internet. He's playing to the people in the room. He's doing his job trying to sell the movie to people that aren't in America. So I think it's getting blown way out of proportion. It would be different if this was Rachel Zegler or Mark Ruffalo, who has a history of saying effed up shit. Mackie, I think, is beloved as the character Falcon. They made a huge mistake putting him in this position. He did not earn the shield. He's given it at the end of Endgame for no apparent reason. And that series, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. I you know what? I watched it the beginning. I didn't finish it. Apparently, it ends on someone saying "do better." He says
it's him saying "do better, Senator," which I think we're all saying that to Anthony Mackie now.
Yeah. Anthony Mackie should do better, but I'll say in the past, Mackie has been attacked for other reasons, like by people on the left. Can I show this clip? Have you seen this clip called "Make Daddy a Sandwich"? Have you
I
seen
believe
it?
so. Yes, it's on it's on a talk show or something,
It's
right?
on some show called If You Wouldn't Mind, Drinker. It's a very short clip.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So he got a lot of critique for saying this.
I hear you and I have something in common. You believe in a lot of cases that men and women have roles.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, you say it because people get mad.
You better
when
believe it.
I say
I'm from this. Yeah, you better believe it.
I mean, I know you're from New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm only from Jersey.
Yeah,
but I do believe that if he wants a sandwich,
you make Daddy a sandwich. No. Let me ask you this. Well, okay, let me ask you this. If me and you out and somebody say something slick to you,
you punch him in the face.
You want me to smack him in his mouth, right?
That's right.
So if I take you on a date and I say, look, baby, we're going to go Dutch.
No.
Exactly. If we walking up to the car and I don't open your car door, what do you say?
Open the door.
You better believe it.
Yeah, no, I am with you. I think
so you make Daddy a sandwich.
I think I will after I get out of the shower. But it'll get done.
If I'm outside cutting that grass, bring Daddy some lemonade. It's hot outside. I'm cutting all this grass.
But what's not hot is when girls call their man Daddy.
See, I think he's very traditional values.
I think he is, yeah.
And if you watch, I've watched a lot of the behind the scenes on the Marvel Blu-rays. He seems like a really cool guy. He hasn't said anything too stupid. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. He fucked up
100%.
He realized it. He also corrected himself within 24 hours. He was like, "Oh shit, I really fucked up."
Yeah, so, I think
he also went out of his way. I really support the troops. I know that had nothing to do with what I said.
Yeah,
you guys know I support the troops. So this is what I think. I think that this is a result of all these people in Hollywood not wanting to associate themselves with Trump's America. That's what I think this has to do with. Whether Anthony Mackie does or does not truly believe what he said there or what he posted on Instagram later, right? You can give the benefit of that one way or the other. It's about what he said, and it's about the reason that he said it. And the reason that he and other people that are part of making this movie don't want to connect the character of Captain America to America is because currently they don't like the guy in power. Or for 4 years before that, they didn't like the guy in power. That's not what Captain America representing America is all about. Because spoiler alert, throughout the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, every 4 or 8 years, somebody else that isn't your guy's in power. It's about traditional American values, the American spirit. There are a million different comic books in which Captain America goes against whatever the government in the United States of America is actively doing at that time, because to him, it goes against his traditional American values that he stands up for. So there are a lot of other different ways to talk about that specifically and still talk about how it connects to America without trying to distance yourself from America, which is undoubtedly what he did in that scenario. And when you're playing the character of Captain America, you can't do that.
Yeah, I think it would have been easy for him to just say, like, you know, Captain America is a great American patriotic hero, and he means a great deal to, like, American audiences, but that doesn't mean he can't also be a hero for people all around the world, because the values that he embodies, like fighting for truth and justice and honesty and all that stuff, that's something that everyone can find heroic, and that's an awesome thing. That's what makes him such a popular hero. He probably meant to say something along those lines. It just didn't come out quite right. He then tried to, like, backtrack during the actual speech, It was a little bit awkward and a little bit fumbling, and it's been unfortunately misconstrued. But yeah, I think Anthony Mackie is probably he's probably a good guy. I think he's not like one that's fully on board with the crap that's spewing out of Hollywood for the most part. But a lot of the writers and the creatives behind the scenes for Captain America, for this movie and for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 100% are, and they do hate what America is right now. And it all came across in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was the ultimate expression of it. It's like America is just, there's racists around every corner, and the country is broken, and everyone has to do better. And, you know, that was their mentality. It was very cynical. It was very anti-American. It was very anti-patriotic, but that was the mindset at the time. But times have changed, and I think that's part of the reason why this movie has been reshot so many times. The culture has been pulled out from under them, and the market that it's going to be released into is radically different from the one that Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out into, and even that wasn't particularly popular.
You know, it's really. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, in spite of all this, I think the movie is still going to suck, and it's the first time. If you share my screen, I do not want to get the popcorn bucket. There's a Red Hulk popcorn bucket and a Captain America shield and wings popcorn bucket. There's even a special flavor of soda, and there's Red Hulk Smash and Captain America cream soda. So fill your mouth with Anthony Mackie Captain America cream soda.
Fill your mouth with Anthony Mackie's cream.
I'll show it to you. Anyway, sorry, Ryan.
When did these novelty popcorn buckets become a thing, right?
It is a great idea for them. They have to be making, both the theaters and the studios have to be making so much more money. They're trying to replace Blu-ray sales with fucking popcorn bucket sales.
Right. See, Captain America cream soda, put it in your mouth.
It's also for the social media age, you know, influencers. Hey, I'm going to see this movie, and here's my bucket. You know, it's a little prop for them in their TikTok videos or wherever it is they post Instagram. So it's a clever little marketing tool, and they'll make back, you know, money on what they invest in it. It is a good idea. I think the popcorn buckets, as stupid as it is, it's a clever little marketing trick.
I mean, they'll never top the Dune one where it's like a sandworm and it looks like a vagina.
That was
and you
great.
Shove your hand into it.
I have it. Oh, look at Ryan.
Oh, God.
It's more like it looks more like an
Ryan. That should be your profile picture, man.
Yeah.
Like a really desecrated anus. It's just hideous.
It is, yeah.
Here's one as well. This is from Sithcake for $100. So thank you, man. Benefit of the doubt is how we got into this mess in the first place, and he didn't apologize. He issued a pre-approved PR statement.
I disagree. Look, you got to take it with look at his character. Right. And what are we going to be the people so hypersensitive and canceling over every little thing? Fuck that shit.
Okay, stop. Enough. Like, this is not how people work. He's allowed to have good takes and bad takes. It's not binary.
It was a bad take.
Why are we pretending like we know him? We don't know him at all. We just know things that he says and we react to them. He said plenty of things that we can agree with. That's great. He's also said Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. That is a clear line. And he didn't clarify that in his second statement. He didn't say, oh, by the way, Captain America does represent America, and I'm happy about that. No, he didn't even mention it. As Ryan said, he went for the troops mainly, which is like, I appreciate the line, but it's really not what anyone had contention with.
Chris, I hear what you're saying is that you don't think that this truly represents who Anthony Mackie is or whatever with this one line here. And maybe that is true, but I'm just going like, I think going back to the heart of it, it's not just about what Anthony Mackie says. It's about the reason why he said that. And the reason why he says that is because those are the people that he's surrounded by. Those are the people that have produced this movie. Those are the people that have written this movie. And that's so many of the people that were around for the making of this movie in general. That's how they feel. And I feel like that's why he said it in that moment, regardless of whether or not he truly feels that way.
And
I just think they're bigger a-holes like Mark Ruffalo, who has been consistently a prick, or Mark Hamill,
100%.
or Rachel Zegler.
It wasn't a line, and that's as far as I'm happy for us to take it. It's just like she shouldn't have said that. It was a bad line. He should have said something else, unless, of course, he just strictly means it, in which case that sucks.
I think he realized it in the moment. You can hear him stammering like, fuck. he said something stupid.
Sure.
So I'll cut him slack. We'll see. But the press tour is just beginning. There's going to be all interviews that are going to show up. The red carpet for Marvel events are always gold. Did you watch those? You guys watch those? There's like gold in terms of quotes and people saying stupid shit.
Yes.
It's great. So
We'll
see.
Harrison Ford's going to be high as fuck when he's there, I'm sure.
He will be high as fuck. He was high at Comic-Con. I'm just saying, and the movie is going to suck. I think, in spite of all of this, none of it's going to matter. I think the movie will be terrible by everything I've seen. It's not looking good.
And look, I'm not sitting here saying that Anthony Mackie should never have a job in Hollywood again. I am saying he shouldn't be Captain America, but that has nothing to do with what he said. That goes back a long time before this.
Yeah, I agree with you. He shouldn't be. It's story-wise, it makes no sense. No serum, just handed that, not earned. It's unearned.
Yeah, but there's plenty of people that have bad. Elon Musk has had a couple bad takes lately, and he's got fucking roasted for it. That's what happened.
But I love
him. He's a pro gamer, okay?
I think Anthony Mackie's going to be like careful as fuck with every interview he does now. Like his words are going to be so carefully chosen.
Fuck up. I mean, look at collectively, all of us have been on YouTube. What, thousands of hours? Thousands. We have all said stupid shit. We've all said something stupid. Ryan did a video in a car, and people still bug him about that, about the Batman, a movie he loved.
Movie I really liked.
With black people that he loved.
I really liked.
That's the thing that still pisses me off about that is people share that screenshot and they say, like, this guy hated a movie because there was black people in it. It's like, no, I really liked the movie. There just happened to be black people in it.
Yeah. There's this because we've
that
talked
sounded
as well.
Bad, by the way. I like the movie that just happened to be black.
It's like it was good despite them being in it.
Yeah, they could have ruined
it. We've talked obviously about the budget for this movie as well, and the current estimates are close to $400 million for the overall budget, but apparently. According to THR, the apparent budget is 180 million. I'm not sure where they get that number from. They
get that movie from Marvel because that's what Marvel told them to say.
Yeah, that's the officially released budget, and there's no way that anyone on God's green earth believes that this movie cost $180 million. No way.
Shoot.
Is that because they could be playing tricks here? They've done this before, whereby the budget they announce is just the budget for the initial production or for the reshoot, which they then claim as a separate production or something like this. Because you can do that financially speaking. You can do these little accountancy tricks and say, no, the previous movie was scrapped. This is actually technically a new movie that cost $180 million. And the $200 million we spent before, that's just, we're not going to mention that.
I find it hard to believe that even the initial movie would have cost 180 million. That's crazy cheap for Marvel.
Based on things I've heard, they are suggesting that 180 is the cost for the reshoots. Once they really reworked and rewritten the entire movie and felt like they could call it something different. But the problem is, if we hadn't seen them lie to us over and over again about this, then maybe you could take it at face value. But it's not the case.
Look at how much. Sorry, look at how much they spent on the Marvels. So here's the figure, and I'm reading this verbatim from Forbes. Its filings for FPC behind the Marvels show that it had spent precisely $374 million on the movie.
Do you remember what the reported budget was as reported by the Hollywood Reporter before it came out?
What?
$200 million.
So there you go. They've done this before.
They do it all the fucking time. Over the last several years, they've done it time after time. The only time we can prove it is when it's a movie produced in the UK because they're forced to reveal their tax filings.
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, they told us it cost $200 million. It actually cost closer to $350 million. Doctor Strange 2: Multiverse of Madness, they told us, and Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety, they all repeated the same talking point because that's what they are for the studios. They said it cost $200 million. UK tax documents revealed they spent over $400 million on that movie. So they are lying about this movie as well. It's very blatantly obvious, but it is a big trade. And the truth is, most people are probably going to take it at face value and assume that, well, I guess this thing only needs $550 or $600 million to break even.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like anyone who's studied anything about the production history of this film would know it's an order of magnitude more than that. Of course it is. Like there's no way you can go through this many reshoots and this many iterations of the movie and expect it to be under 200 million. It's impossible.
That would make it Marvel's cheapest movie that they've made in like 5 years or more, right? It's nonsensical. There's no way that is the budget in totality. But this movie was filmed in the United States, which means we won't get the reveal of any big tax documents like that. So they might be able to just walk away with it, with people thinking that. And that's what they're hoping. They are desperate to hope for that perception. That's why they reported it that way. So they can look like they are either more successful than they are, or like they haven't failed as hard as they may fail. For instance, if they had told us what they spent on Multiverse of Madness, guess what? When it made $950 million at the global box office, people wouldn't have been calling it a massive hit. Because the truth is, when you factor in all the money they spent on the budget and the $150 million marketing budget, it actually lost money for them. Yeah. So for that, it worked for 2 years. People had the perception that Multiverse of Madness was a financially successful movie when it wasn't. So they get away with it.
Yeah. There's another one here. Anthony Mackie deserves benefit of the doubt, in my opinion, based off his career and poise. The slippery slope theorem slides both ways, in which a small moment can lead to a worse outcome, just like an overreaction to a said moment. I would tend to agree. Yeah, as I said earlier, I think this is probably something where he's had a slip up doing his publicity tour, said the wrong thing, kind of realized it at the time, tried to backtrack, maybe didn't do it in the most elegant way, and it resulted in a big old firestorm. I think it really speaks to the fact that people are almost poised to see this movie fail. There seems to be a real negative atmosphere around the film where they almost want it to be a failure. And something like this is just adding fuel to the fire. And it's interesting that it's got to that point because Falcon is a popular character. Anthony Mackie is a popular actor. And yet there's something about this film that people just don't seem to like it.
I think because Anthony Mackie as Captain America does not work. It's Captain DEI America. If you think about it, like it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense in the comics. It doesn't make sense for that TV show. It doesn't make sense for this movie. The premise itself is terrible. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Now, Falcon can be very popular by himself. I really love that. Look, I bought the Captain America and Falcon comic when I was a kid. Gary and I had a close conversation. We all both had the Mego action figures of Falcon. And Falcon was one of the first black characters in comics that wasn't called Black whatever. Because previous to that, every new black character in comics was Black this or Black that or Black, which is dumb. I think that's a terrible idea. Falcon was just cool. And he and Cap as this kind of duo were really cool in the 70s. I love that comic. And so it was cool to see him show up in the movies. Falcon as a new Cap doesn't work as a concept. He doesn't take the serum. The whole image of him holding the shield against Red Hulk, I think is just wrong-headed. It's just not, it's not believable. So I think the premise of this film from the beginning will fail. And I don't think audiences are into it. So the negativity is people aren't buying it. And Phase 4 has been a disaster. I mean, look at everything has been diminished. And we have, aside from the fact that we have all these Kang loose ends. Do you know how many loose ends in the Marvel Cinematic Universe there are right now? If you just like add them all up, it's ridiculous. It's laughable.
We're in phase 5.
Giant.
So
Phase 5. Yeah, sorry, Phase 5.
No,
well, that's the point. Like they're
Yeah.
blending together to the point where we can't even keep track of what phase we're in.
Wasn't it Ant-Man was the beginning of phase 5, I think, and everyone was just like, why?
That's correct.
Quantumania. That was it. They kicked off the new phase with Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania, and everyone hated Jonathan Majors as Kang, and everyone hated that fucking movie.
I think they're 100% going to look back on this phase and be like, this was a disaster from start to finish. This multiverse thing, Kang, all of it was just a complete failure. We should never have tried it.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering, would they have dumped Majors anyway if he hadn't gotten into all that legal trouble? Because it was a real, just total failure. I mean, the
No,
show.
I think they would have soldiered on with him because I think getting rid of a diverse actor like him would have been suicide.
Looking broadly at phases 4 and 5, we've had 99% failures, and they've kept them all pretty much. At least, you know, for as long as like the bigger ones.
No, they got rid of Brie Larson. Brie Larson's not coming back.
She literally just had the model. What are you talking about? Like she's very much still a part of this. She just had a movie.
Well, not just that was like 2 years ago, but like,
whatever.
she's not like fired. Like they haven't like announced that she's gone.
They're not gonna, but they're not gonna cast her in anything.
She'll get cameos. No, she'll get a cameo in something. Like they won't just like write the character out. I don't think.
She's one of the ones I would say is safer than the rest. She's not like Gaia. She's probably never coming back. Even I don't even know if you guys know.
I mean, you can't do that with the big bad. The big bad can't just pop in for a cameo. You have to go all in with him, or he's just.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right? I think they would have, if not for his controversy. Like they probably would have kept him.
They got lucky then, because as desperate as the RDJ, as Dr. Doom is. It's going to be a hell of a lot more profitable than Jonathan Majors' Kang. Like it gives them a shot.
It got so much attention.
Cultural relevance.
Yeah. For
like sure. He'll bring them in 2 big hits before people get bored of it, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's really all he's like. I think he's just going to be in it for 2. I think he's like, my guess actually is that he's going to be introduced in the Fantastic Four movie in a very, very small way as kind of like part of the universe. And then the next Avengers movie is going to be him. And then the one after that is going to be all about him and a bunch of other things. And maybe they do something where they bring all these other heroes back temporarily, and Iron Man is there too to help fucking defeat it before whatever happens. And they reset the timeline and they reset the entire MCU. And
I think that's probably what they're going to have to do. They better get out their skates on though before he dies of fucking malnutrition. Like that vegan diet is not doing him any favors, man. Like he looked frail when he was doing that like parade out on stage. I mean, I know time comes for us all and everything, and he's like pushing 60, but woof.
Yeah, it's like when they over on Twitter the other day, it's like, what happened to Jim Carrey? And they posted a picture when he was like 25 versus now, and it's like, not old. Like, yeah, these guys are old.
Yeah.
Do you see that they're doing the same with Tom Welling, because he got in the drunk thing?
He got a DUI at an Arby's parking lot, bro.
I love Arby's.
He got a mugshot, and they were like, "Oh my god, what happened to him?" It's like he's like way older.
Yeah,
not even a bad mugshot.
Like he's not a teenager anymore.
To tell you what, fuck the DUI. What I'm really disgusted at is that he was eating at Arby's. Like, Jesus.
Well,
I love Arby's.
Listen, especially if you're drunk, that would help soak up some of that shit, man. I totally understand what he was doing. He was so close, right? If he would have just gotten that in his stomach, he probably would have been fine, sobered up a little bit. But yeah. The nice thing about Smallville actors is it doesn't matter what you do. It can't be nearly as bad as running that weird fucking sex murder cult ring or whatever that other.
That was crazy.
So
whatever like that's the lowest bar. If you can get over that, it's like you're not as bad as him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chris, I was going to ask you. You have seen Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man person thing.
Yeah.
What is it? What's it like?
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is a Marvel animated series, 10 episodes, debuting, I believe, 2 or more episodes roll out every week. 2 episodes came out on Wednesday, yesterday. It is, I guess the best way to describe it, I call it Spy DEI Man. It is the most, I know maybe some people want to retire this term. It is the wokest thing. It is so woke. It is, they might as well rename it Spider-Man and his black and brown friends. It's Peter Parker in a universe with no white people, where there's no Mary Jane, no Gwen Stacy, no Dr. Connors is.
I gotta push back on that, Chris. I gotta push back on that. Yeah. The first criminal he stops, the ginger kid who's attacking gay black Harry Osborne. He's white. He's white.
There are white criminals, which makes sense. Yeah. But everything they have race and gender swapped. They race swap, Harry and Norman Osborn. Harry Osborn, I think maybe at some point they probably wanted him to be trans or a woman. I have no idea, because he has he's very feminine. Very
4 earrings.
4 earrings. And in the show, you'll see Rhino is a woman. There's just for no reason whatsoever they've done that, but it's not just that, because Peter Parker does not motivate any action in the show. His origin is changed. There's no Uncle Ben is already died months ago when the show starts. There's no iconic line with great power, etc.
So the reason, just real quick, Chris, this was originally supposed to be the origin of Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU. That's what the original idea for this show was, and then they changed it up because like we actually don't want to connect it to this.
Right. Well, they do have like events that happen in the MCU as we know it. We see them playing out without Spider-Man at all. So and as you get to watch the series, you'll see Peter Parker motivates nothing. He's literally a guest star in his own show. Spider-Man is a guest star in the Spider-Man show. It doesn't seem like the writers are interested in anything but the side characters. There's a moment where this one character, Pearl, in a later episode, starts to lecture Peter Parker about her trauma and feelings. She randomly discusses her Filipino heritage, food, like for no reason. I'm like, what does this have to do with the story? In addition to that, on top of that, it's set in modern times. So a lot of the characters are on their phone, texting, on social media, at a computer, sending emails. I mean, this is why Quentin Tarantino says my favorite era of movies is before cell phones.
Yeah.
It's such a big part of it, like being on your phone, and they're on their phone on a show where you could probably just be on your phone watching the show. It's so ungodly woke. And the thing is, Peter Parker motivates nothing. There's Norman Osborne starts to design different costumes for him. So they finally get to the iconic Spider-Man one by like episode 7 or 8. They finally get the blue and red costume. Between then, he's got all these other dumb costumes. And I don't know. Ryan, it sounds like you saw some of it. It's just god awful.
So is it like alternate universe Spider-Man? Like this isn't the Prime universe.
Think so. It's not the MCU. Right? It's definitely not the MCU.
Right. Okay.
Because they changed his origin, and they're setting up. It's a cliffhanger at the end where so it sets up. I'm sure season 2 is already done, but this is what's left over. This year is transition for Marvel when you've got like Ironheart and a lot of bad stuff. A lot of bad stuff is coming.
I mean because I'd heard that like they are trying to course correct and they're aware that they've gone too far with all this.
Look at what we've got in 2025. If you just look at what I put up here. I mean, I think Daredevil could be good. Fantastic Four, who knows? Wonder Man, a buddy of mine keeps telling me Wonder Man in December. It's awesome.
I think no one's going to care. I think it's going to be like Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I think maybe it will be okay, but like no one's going to give a shit about it.
I'm not sure if you know, there's Thunderbolts May 2nd, June 24th. Put on your calendar, Ryan. That's Ironheart for you.
We still haven't had a proper trailer for it. Still haven't.
Well, not Fantastic Four either. I think we'll see one during the Super Bowl. Frankly.
Super Bowl for Fantastic Four, almost guaranteed.
Yeah. And August 6th, Marvel Zombies. October 3rd, Marvel Zombies. August 6th is a Wakanda cartoon series.
It's
no one's going to care about those two.
Yeah. So the lineup is very mixed. Very mixed. This is transition. This is dumping all the projects, and this Spider-Man show is a dump. In my,
I think as well. Like I think they think the Fantastic Four is going to be a bigger hit than it is.
I don't know. I don't know. There's never been a good Fantastic Four movie.
No,
in my lifetime.
And I feel like because it's so it is so like quintessentially superhero-y that I feel like it's almost played out now. Like the market that it's releasing
Right.
to isn't going to embrace something like that. They're more likely to take on something like Daredevil, which is much more grounded and realistic in a lot of ways than the Fantastic Four.
Well, the Daredevil trailer is better than the Superman trailer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really got me
Well-
pumped for Daredevil.
Well, I mean, Daredevil's blind, but at least his eyes pointing in the same direction, unlike the fucking Superman trailer that we got.
By the way, Spider-Man littered with cameos, including Daredevil, Iron Man, Doctor Strange. Yeah, are all over it. So, just it's I don't know who this is. It's like the writers wrote it for themselves. They wrote themselves into it, and they don't care about Peter Parker or Spider-Man. It's all these subplots. It feels very CW of teen drama subplots with all these other, like I said, Spider-Man and his diverse friends. And most of the storylines are all about his friends.
You
just
mentioned
had
it
to
was
answer
like, dumped along with a lot of this stuff, which is a theory I assume is matching with Marvel's intent to change course at least somewhat. But as far as I know, it's already been renewed for season 2 and 3. That show.
Well, it might have been in production at the same time. They just kept it going. It's harder to stop down and restart than just, okay, green light a season 2. Like, just, you know.
Do you have any numbers on engagement for it yet? I don't know, because it is Spider-Man after all.
I think we're the only ones talking about it. So I'm sure that it's nothing.
So ultimately, the animated shows that are not geared towards children, right? Those animated shows just don't really perform that great in general. It doesn't matter whether it's Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. X-Men 97, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, X-Men 97, how fucking incredible, how amazing. It barely outperforms the Bad Batch season 3. You know what I mean?
Marvel's it's still relative, right? Like, how good is it doing on its own scale would be the test.
So we're not going to know for a while. It's not going to chart or anything, you know, and I don't think the expectation should be that it would.
What is your prediction for Thunderbolts? Because again, I've heard no hype around this whatsoever.
Well, I know someone who saw it. They said it's surprisingly good. I really feel that is a result of the fact that there's no expectations for it. I mean, who cares? And the title of the movie, I'm told the title of the movie may not be Thunderbolt. You know, there's an asterisk.
Yeah.
It might be Dark Avengers. No, I'm just saying what I've been told, that it may be a different.
I feel like
title.
Anthony Mackie would have to be in that movie.
Oh no! There you go, Ryan.
Is my but I just wanted to ask you, am I on screen for you guys?
No, you're in the abyss right now.
You're doing your BLM virtue signaling,
right? Because I can see myself, like my video is coming through on my.
We can't see you.
You can do anything you want.
No, there's your avatar. There's your
it's
just
still
a
black
rectangle right now.
Oh, that's weird.
Netflix brings you.
I don't know what's the best way to do that actually.
Chris, let me ask you this while
do I come right out of this?
Right? Yeah, because this I only watched an episode of half of the Spider-Man show, and one thing that really struck me is how lazy it was. Like, they just didn't care about anything. And here's one example. So there's a scene where he's in a suburb, right? The tallest building is a 3-story apartment, right?
Yeah.
But he's webbing vertically.
Right.
Where's it going? It really annoyed me, because I was thinking, if you look at the animation, it's like he's webbing from the clouds. It's really frustrating, and just once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. And it's like in every scene, it's just the laziest animation.
The animation sucks in it.
It's bollocks, man.
It's very computer.
I know they're
the 90s cartoons, whether it's X-Men, whether it's Spider-Man, whatever, like, they do it so much better. It looks so much better in cartoon form than the weird 3D hybrid stuff they're trying to do now.
It looks too clean. Like, one thing they've done is they keep the shadows where they are, because they're trying to imitate comic book art, you know, with the exaggerated shadows, and the shadows don't move because they wanted to imitate that style. But they go all in with it, and the shadows never move, and it looks really weird and awful and off-putting. And it's another one of those things. Once you notice it, you can't unnotice it, and it makes it that little bit more difficult to watch.
It looks like they use some mocap as well. I mean, it looks very like rotoscoped, you know? I don't know. I just looking, the animation is the least of its problems. It's all the writing. You know, it's all the
Oh yeah,
writing.
the things, it's very lazy. Like there's no transition. So for example, if you look at Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie,
Mhm.
there's a very important part of that movie is Peter Parker's transition from just a normal guy to Spider-Man and the difficulty he has, you know, the emotional and physical difficulty. In this series, in episode 1, he gets bit by the spider, and then it just says 4 months later, and he's just webbing around his suburbs from, and that's it. There's no he's Spider-Man, and he can do everything perfectly.
Can we talk about how stupid it is that they introduced Norman Osborn in the exact same way, frame for frame, the way they introduced Tony Stark in the first Spider-Man movie? Like when he walks in, he's got the headphones in, May's sitting in the living room with somebody, and it's Tony, except this time it's Norman Osborn. And he's like, "Hello there, Peter. I'm Black Norman Osborn."
Another point, like they're doing a multi-verse thing or something.
Black Norman Osborn imitating Willem Dafoe's voice.
Yes, yes. You noticed that too.
Is that what they were going for?
Yeah. I mean, I can't do Willem Dafoe, but fuck it, I'll try just for a laugh. They kind of got him talking like this when he's talking to Peter. And it's a really obvious attempt from the voice actor to imitate Willem Dafoe, but he's black and he's got, what do you call that black haircut? What's that called, Chris?
He's got
cornrows, or
he's got cornrows, right?
So Norman Osborn historically in the comics has waves, right? And you know, it always stood out because clearly he's a white man with waves. And it so it was always kind of a meme. And they decided to turn the meme into a reality.
I'm something of a black person myself.
And his best friend is an Asian lesbian, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Or bisexual or something.
And he is in love with the person who used to be his babysitter. Her name is Pearl.
Right.
And she babysat for him, and she's probably a senior, and he's in love with her. And yeah, it's trash.
When can we get out of this era of writing and
We're stuck.
media? Because I'm so fucking tired of it. I hate all of
It
it.
reminded me of Lara Croft, that Netflix show. The very creatively titled "The Legend of Tomb Raider Lara Croft" or Lara Croft: The Legend, whatever the fuck it was called. That piece of shit Netflix show. It reminded me of that, where the writers just write themselves in. It has a very lazy, non sequitur kind of generic plot. The characters are completely non-memorable and one-dimensional. The bad guys are white. The good guys are, you know, a diverse mix of the white main character they can't race swap, who's surrounded by everybody except another white person.
Lara's got the body of a Tesla Cybertruck.
It's basically that, Drinker. Like, you've seen that Lara show. Think of that. That's kind of what Marvel. It's the exact same style of writing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's nice when they just they're aware of the meme of, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to make all the characters race and gender swapped and everyone's gay and all the rest of it. And then they just decide to embrace it anyway. Wow, you've got to almost respect the level of retardation on display there.
The crazy thing is the lead voice actor who plays Spider-Man said in a quote that came out a day or two before this premiered, "You know, I was really worried when I started reading the script that it was going to be annoying and woke, but it's not. It's awesome. It's really well written." That's what Hudson Thames, who plays Spider-Man, said. And he got shit on by everybody on that side for saying something like that. As it turns out, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. I've only seen 2 episodes, obviously, so I can't really comment on it.
It's really worse. Dated as well. Worse. It's something you look at and you think, man, it is dated. It's like something that 5 years ago they might have got away with it, but now you just look at it and you think, fuck me, man, this is so fucking boring and tired. People are just sick of this. You can't even get angry about it anymore. It's just really, really tiresome.
Tired is the perfect description of it. That's exactly what it is. It's the same shit they've been doing for the past 5, 6, 7 years. And everyone is wise to it. Everyone knows now what they're doing, why. And they mock it, but still they keep going with it. It's they can't help themselves. They can't stop.
And some of the excuses are for why all these different characters are race swapped or whatever. It's well, you know, modern day New York, a very diverse place and all this stuff. It's well, you do have them going to a private school for fucking geniuses, right? You also have that.
One thing I noticed,
it's not like you're in a slum high school somewhere in the projects.
When he arrives at Oscorp for his internship, the first thing you see is a hijab wearing Muslim female scientist, and then the next scientist is another woman, and then there's an Asian guy and a black guy.
It's literally the picture perfect of diversity.
It looks like a campus brochure. It looks like a college brochure advertising their science lab. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Is it like the group of elves in Rings of Power, where it's like you've got every minority represented
with the hijab? If one of the elves had a hijab, yes.
Perfect.
But I have to bounce early, unfortunately, gentlemen. I just want to say one thing before I go. The Acolyte was a massive flop and a failure. And if any of the retarded Disney Star Wars fans or the retarded actresses and actors that are out there who are trying to spin being the second tallest midget as some kind of success, they can go fuck themselves. They're pieces of shit. So.
And on that bombshell,
there you go.
Thank you, Ryan. I look forward to seeing you at MegaCon next weekend, man.
Yes, I'll see you like a week from now, man. So definitely.
Awesome. No, that sounds good. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, everybody.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Catch you later. Yeah, actually, Ryan brought up a great point, which I was going to talk about just here.
About midgets?
Midgets. Yeah, short midgets and tall midgets. Like, which is the tallest?
Let's do it.
No, it was on the subject of the Acolytes. There was an article that came out from Forbes just this week talking about how it was the second most viewed show on Disney Plus in 2024 with 2.7 billion minutes watched, which sounds very superficially impressive. And yay, like that's good going. It was behind only was it Percy Jackson? I think was the top one on Disney Plus that year. The problem is it's way behind everything else Star Wars related. I've got the stats here for all the other shows that they put out, or at least in recent times. So when they compiled this data, it was still going in terms of the Acolyte season 2. So the Acolyte season 1. So it's obviously finished up around 2.7 billion. That still puts it way behind Ahsoka and Andor, which is not a great bar to be set.
I mean, that's not even half of Boba Fett. It got less than half of the Boba Fett views. And Boba Fett, I've tried to watch that several times. I can never get past like episode 3.
It's garbage, and I don't understand how Book of Boba Fett got so many views when it was so rubbish. But it did. Apparently, it got 6 billion.
Because if you go back, it's easy to forget about this, but if you go back a few years, the Star Wars franchise, as trashed as it was, and especially from our perspective, because we're legacy fans, but as bad as it was, I think what really, really trashed the franchise and got people to start moving away in massive numbers was the Obi-Wan show. That was it for me. When I saw the Obi-Wan show, I lost all faith. That was it for me. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the Boba Fett episode of season 2 of Mandalorian was pretty well received, and there was excitement for the notion of him having his own show. So sometimes it's hard to remember exactly how everything went down, because like Mandalorian season 1 was really well received. If you go back far enough.
And I think in terms of Boba Fett, like we got a pretty short glimpse of him, and it was the prospect of that key jangling, like, oh wow, they got the original actor back, and like he's going to be playing Boba Fett again. This is cool. It reminds us of happier times, during that prequel era. As shit as those movies might have been, well, it was before Disney, and there was a lot of things that you could pull out of that were good. And it seemed like there was lots of possibilities there for bringing them into the present day. And yeah, the show did not live up to that promise in the slightest, but it got the viewing figures. I think with Andor, when I made a video talking about this, I did kind of discount that as a comparison with The Acolyte, because it had like 12 episodes and they were long. So just by virtue of the sheer amount of content, it was probably going to get more viewing minutes, because Andor wasn't a popular show in the ratings at all. But overall, it got a lot of minutes accrued, I suppose. But yeah, the best point of comparison would probably be Book of Boba Fett and
Ahsoka.
Yeah, roughly the same number of episodes, same length, and look what they got.
Do we have anything on Skeleton Crew? It did even worse than Acolyte, right?
Yeah, it didn't even chart.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think that has been out for long enough to get these kind of comparisons yet. But
No, but
it's
like
probably going to be worse than the Acolyte.
it's just not going to shock anybody because it was so uniquely non-offensive that it's just like, well, it's so just nobody gave a shit. That's the story, start and finish there.
Effectively, yeah. And I've heard the theory that the Acolyte essentially killed the chances of Skeleton Crew, and I don't think it did entirely, but I think it had a hand in it. It certainly contributed to that show.
I'm trying to think of the example. It's just like the 19th knife in the body. It's like, well, don't know how much of a difference that made, but sure, I guess. Yeah, it probably didn't help.
Yeah. I think what was really interesting as a point of comparison as well, when we compare these shows on Disney Plus, even the most successful of the Star Wars shows getting almost 6.5 billion minutes watched, right, for its run. This article in Forbes that I'm reading, in the larger context of the industry, Squid Game Season 2 on Netflix amassed 1.2 billion hours viewed since Christmas, while Disney is still measuring them in minutes. I mean, that shows you.
It doesn't surprise me that much because when you look at the figures, Disney Plus isn't that popular, especially with young people, and the people that are on Disney Plus tend to go there for the catalog, the Marvel catalog, and the old Disney, classic Disney catalog. But no one's going there for the TV shows because Disney Plus, it's so rare that I think they've made 2 good shows in my opinion, like Loki season 2 and Andor. I can't think of any other good shows.
This was their plan, though. They were going to be the new Netflix. That's what they were hoping to become. And when you see this, like they're getting like by a factor of 10, Netflix are getting better viewing figures than them, and that's just shocking.
The biggest thing on Disney Plus is Bluey for little kids. Seriously, look it up. Bluey is beating all this new content. It's Disney Plus is a babysitter. That's all it is. Boom, put it on, walk away, and it just plays all day for little children. All these original shows suck. They suck.
I'm with you on that, but Bluey is a juggernaut. Like beating Bluey isn't easy.
What even is Bluey?
It's just like
I'm a little kid, so obviously I don't know it, but
for its target demographic, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Let's just put it that way. Like it's meant for.
It's a cartoon about a blue dog. I tried
family stuff, right?
Little children.
Ugh, family stuff.
Yeah, I hate it.
Family stuff. Yeah, you'll hate it.
Hate it. So. But it's just I guess overall though, like, the thing that people were trying to draw out of these figures was, oh wow, it was like actually a super successful show and it should never have been canceled in the first place. It's like, no, it was literally the smartest kid on the short bus for 2024 on Disney Plus, and that doesn't mean a whole lot in the wider context, particularly when you consider how expensive it was to get made. This show was $230 million. I think when I worked it out, it was coming in at about $700,000 per minute of screen time, which is kind of sickening when you think about it. You could make a pretty good independent movie for $700K.
Yeah, you could.
Online. Did I freeze? I said, where is this copium coming from? Are the Acolyte fans still active? Is there like a little rebellion in the corner of Twitter somewhere who are determined to bring it back?
There's 83,000 of them that signed the petition to get it renewed.
I used to see posts here and there, but they've like gone now. I don't see any more Acolyte ones.
A lot of that petition was bullshit. A friend of mine, Greg Owen, he has a great YouTube channel. He signed the petition, apparently.
Really?
Good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's just fake.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of it comes from content creators who just want like another season so they can riff on it.
No, I mean, like he didn't sign it. His YouTube channel was used fraudulently by a third party. Just they copied and pasted the URL and used his name in there. It was done fraudulently. He didn't actually sign it. So there was a lot of fraud actually used to get those numbers up. People were just typing in names, addresses, YouTube channels, whatever. So a lot of it was fake.
I did like that. Disparu signed it like 10 times.
Hey
I thought he was more focused on the Willow petition. You know, we've got to bring that back.
man, walk and chew gum, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember reading the when Willow got willowed, you know, it got scrubbed from the servers, and the showrunners were, you know, very, very upset about it. And I remember reading their statements thinking, what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
When you did this, when you just took the franchise, you DEI'd it, you wokeified it, you did your own thing completely. Why are you surprised? Like, you know, it boggles, it's fucking mind-boggling that these people think that there's going to be a genuinely positive reaction to this when they make it, and then when it gets shit canned, they complain. It's like, what are you complaining about? Oh,
if I have to, I'll make the Acolyte season 2 with action figures. If I have to do it, I'll do it.
It'll be better than what Disney could make. I think. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it is just that that bubble mentality. Like they're stuck in their little bubble where everyone agrees with them. Everyone has the same political views. Everyone pats each other on the back for everything they make, and they can't see a world outside it.
He's Despot, by the way, not Disparu.
Close enough. It begins with a D.
Sorry, I'm half a bottle down at this point, you know.
Oh, fuck, I froze. If I'm making a video that I know is going to bomb, right? Like I made a June video last year. I knew it was going to bomb, right? And I've made other videos, and I'm sure we all have a general idea of the popularity of a video before we release it, right? Because you know your own audience.
Yes.
And he froze.
I keep freezing.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who's having technical problems tonight.
Like, they're so disconnected from the.
Well, there we are.
It's so
Good point,
disconnected, is what he said.
Right, hang on. I'm going.
It's all good. It's all good.
Anyway.
So, can we just have a do-over on this stream? Let's just start again from the beginning,
What
because
is
it's like
happening?
between my camera fritzing out and Despot's internet dying on him, this is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
How about we do some super chats to just
if you can
round out?
Yeah, good luck.
Let's see if they come up. I mean, who knows? All right, let's try it. So, Silly Agibe says, "Hey, Drinker, rank these Sherlock Holmes movies from 1 to 3. Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Bundersnatch, and Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller. So, where do I rank them? So, I haven't really seen Elementary, so I don't know how good or bad that is, I'm afraid. I think the Sherlock with Benedict is probably the better one. I do like Robert Downey Jr.'s one, but I think that's more just like him, acting the shit out of it.
Disagree. I think Guy Ritchie destroys the BBC Sherlock. It's not even close.
What?
Whoa. Destroys MauLer. Like, actually destroys it.
Like, on the scale, it's not even close. There's like a chasm between them.
Wow. Okay. Well, what about the Elementary one?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good.
Okay. Pac-Man says, "I'd hate to offend Anthony Mackie by representing his Captain America with American dollars, so I'll just go skip this one." That's fair enough. Penbrook Zone says, "Yes, Drinker, an open bar. Hope you're all good. Have you seen anything regarding Alien Earth? If it's based on the Earth Hive books, it could be good." Yeah, this is Disney's new Alien TV show that's coming out, isn't it?
Yeah, on Hulu.
Yeah.
The teaser gave away nothing. I don't know.
I thought that was a shit teaser.
Yeah, same. It's nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's Disney. What the fuck are you expecting? There's going to be a girl boss in it. Like, she's going to show the guys how it's done.
It's rough being an Alien fan, man.
Yeah.
It's rough being a Predator fan. It's rough being a Star Wars fan. Rough being a Terminator fan. Anything, really. Land Far Away says, "Mates, your opinion on IT Crowd, Blackadder, Allo, The In-Betweeners, Extras, People Just Do Nothing. They're all gold, especially the last one."
We can't be doing reviews of all of them, but Blackadder's amazing. I love it.
Blackadder is amazing. Allo, I loved it as a kid.
Atkinson. Love him.
Yeah. In-Betweeners, haven't really seen much of that. Extras was good. I like that. Just Do Nothing. I haven't seen that, I'm afraid. Nikos says, according to Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, in his Acolyte Disney December review, Disney paid us to hate watch it, and that's why it failed. Sure, okay, fine.
Wait, what?
Another golden take by the nostalgia critic.
What? What's the logic?
I don't know.
Okay.
He also says, once again, blame the fans or Trump voters for everything that's wrong with you, Doug Walker. Continue to kiss Disney's ass and ignore wokeness. I mean, this guy really doesn't like Doug Walker, I guess, but sure. And how does he and channels like Watch Mojo still have so many subscribers? They still continue promoting the same left-wing stuff and censor the rest. I think there's one thing you come to realize on YouTube. There's a difference between the number of subscribers that are listed and how many people actually watch your videos.
There is also a bit of as long as he keeps making stuff and it's consistent enough, there's just plenty of people who watch it in the same way you might watch like a soap opera. Just like, whatever. I get some information on new films that are coming out. It's what the little bot things tell you on YouTube all the time, right? It's like, you got to upload consistently, otherwise your whole channel is destroyed. And you're like, oh. I had an email from YouTube that said,
are you alive?
It was just, I full stream on the channel. They were like, you need to upload a video, okay? And I was almost at the point of being like, are you threatening me? Like, what's happening?
You know, it's bad when fucking YouTube themselves start to give you a hard time, like not just your own fans or anything.
I'm working on it, damn it.
Yeah. Are you alive, sir?
Yeah, sorry about the shit internet.
Hello.
That's all right. I'm experiencing much the same thing myself tonight. That's why I kept glitching out.
I've never seen that bug before, that bizarre black rectangle. Never seen that before. Wonder what that is.
I don't know. It's like when I'm looking at it in my end, like I'm coming up on the webcam okay, and my image is fine and everything. But you guys can't see me for some reason, and I don't know how to reset it. Sort of like me leaving the whole studio and then coming back in, which I don't want to do because I think that might kill the stream if I'm not in it.
It won't actually, but you could try.
I mean, I could try, but I'm taking your word for this one, Chris, because like
it happens to me. It happens to me. So
I can come out and like I can leave studio and then come back in, and it won't kill it.
See you later.
All right, I'll try.
See you in 1 minute.
I'll see you in like 10 seconds. It shouldn't take long.
All right.
Let's try it.
Oh no, there you are. You're on your webcam now. We can see you. Well, I can't
see him.
I can't see him.
I can see him.
Wait,
I can see him.
Leave?
You can see him.
Well, how do you need to leave?
Hold on, let's ask the chat. Chat, can you see?
Yeah.
Chat, can you see Drinker right now?
Yeah, could you guys see me? We'll have to wait like 20 seconds for the response.
They're saying no.
No. So Curry,
we can't see him. Are they lying? I don't know.
So I can see you. I can see you, but nobody else can.
Actually leave the stream. And
maybe he's dead, and I'm like the kid from
Literally,
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I see drunk people.
We'll still be live.
Yeah, all right, I'll leave and then come back in. Let's try that.
Leave. Yeah, leave. You have to go. I'm
our stream now.
Open bar. Take over.
Here we go. We can talk about anything. We're
open
free.
bar coup.
There you go. He's left the bar. He's left the bar. He'll come back and he'll be on camera. That's what will happen. Watch.
There you go.
Hey, told you. You're back.
Yeah.
That's
Beautiful.
the fix.
Okay, fine. So now you can see me. Yeah, I honestly thought if I left my own stream that would kill it.
It's the IT crowd.
Yeah.
Off and on again.
Anyway, well, here we are. Let me carry on. So, Slack Attack says, with how fast movies go to streaming these days, can a short runtime at the theater before jumping to streaming be an indicator of poor performance, or is it just expected at this point? I mean, I would assume if it goes really quickly out of theaters and onto streaming, it's done shit at the theaters because, like, that's their moneymaker right there.
Didn't Wicked go on to premium video on demand pretty quick?
Yeah, you can buy it on demand. It's like $30.
It still did really amazing numbers at the theaters. You know, it's made it
decent.
No, it didn't. Like, I thought that was going to be $1 billion movie. That was like 500 million it made.
I made like 700 million, didn't it?
Underperformed.
Underperformed?
Yes.
I thought it overperformed. Hold on, I'm looking at the.
I think they were hoping for the next Barbie from that, and
It got
it
$717 million box office. That's pretty good for $150 million budget.
Right, but they expected it to do better.
Really? That's actually surprising to me.
Do better, movie. Do better.
Because it's a musical, right? It's a musical, so it's there immediately. It's already niching down.
Drinker loved it. He recommended it.
I did recommend it. I didn't get a Drinker recommends, but like I didn't think it was terrible. Like that's the thing. I think if you don't like musicals, then obviously there's no point watching it. But like if you're into that stuff, you get something out of it.
Related to all of this, have you seen that Quentin Tarantino comment from Sundance? I was at Sundance last weekend. I put the link to the archive version in the chat, the private chat. I agree exactly with what he's saying. Streaming killed movies. They don't have the value they used to have. The ecosystem of a theatrical release, then home DVD, video, whatever, and then finally coming to HBO like a year later, all that's gone. The movie industry, when they write the obituary, the movie's killed itself. And I think his comment that 2019 was the last year of movies, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
He should know. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Next up is RRTNZ says Chuck Norris cannot be cast as Captain America. He's overqualified. If Chuck
Right.
Norris was Captain America, then Thanos would have snapped himself into dust. That's pretty good.
Good one.
LC Le Pen. Chris Evans just came out and stated he's not returning in Avengers Doomsday. Quote, yeah, no, happily retired. Do you think he's serious or is he pulling a boogie?
It's bullshit. Yeah, even like, Spider-Man. No, we're not in the movie.
Yeah.
They're lying. It'll be a surprise.
Because Chris Evans hasn't exactly done great things since he left Marvel.
Nothing anyone cares about. They care about him as that character. But he was in that Santa Claus movie with J.K. Simmons and The Rock.
Yeah, Red One.
Was meh. A lot of movies are meh these days.
They are indeed. Blue Collar Loser says, I've been on some Band of Brothers streams with Drinker. It sickens me to my core how many modern people don't get the era in which Cap was created.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, the character was written in 1940? That was his first comic book appearance. So before America even came into the war, he was written predating that. And those were the values that he embodied, like fighting for like justice and freedom and all that good stuff. And I think the movies, like certainly with like Captain America, the first Avenger, and then the Avengers team up movie that they did, they brought that successfully into the modern age. They made it work. And that he embodied those values, and they acknowledged, like, yeah, that maybe is a little old-fashioned by today's standards, but maybe you need that every once in a while, particularly with what we're facing here. And I think that was a great little way of integrating him into a modern team-up movie like that and making him not seem goofy and outdated, which was nice. I like that. This is something different, though. Bisecting Tuscan Raider Child says, THR put out an article stating that the budget for Cap 4 was under 200 million. Press X for doubt. This is surely bullshit, right? Yeah, as we talked about earlier, that's definitely bullshit. This movie cost probably close to 400 million at this point that they'll admit to. Probably more. So, not good.
Do you remember back when Falcon Winter Soldier came out and the John Walker thing happened? And I think it was like episode 4. And then there was a huge discourse about how, Steve would never have done that. And that's the proof that guy could never be Captain America. Like, he would never kill. He would never murder.
It's like, how many people do you think he killed during World War II? Like,
well, it's not just that, right? I just saw a tweet. It's got 223k likes, and it's about the shock of watching Civil War again and seeing Cap throw the shield such that it basically hits a guy in the neck, and it's like almost guaranteed to have killed him. And other people are like, yeah, man, it's kind of insane. They're posting like other clips from the MCU where he's clearly killing people. And I was like, who are these new fans? Like, what the fuck are these people? Like, Cap 1, he had a pistol. He was in the war. Like, what? What are you talking about? You're all stupid. Like he's not fucking. He doesn't have a no-kill rule. Who made this up?
Yeah. So CMD Darty says, for Chris Gore, once you mentioned that movies created in easy/good atmosphere usually end as not really successful, whereas those done in a strict and harsh atmosphere do. Can you think of an example where the former did and was still good? So
I'm
like a
not
movie
su-
that was made with a good atmosphere and it still got...
Yeah, like for example, Godfather. There was chaos on that set. I mean, chaos. And it ended up being obviously one of the greatest American films ever made. But I'm trying to think where a good atmosphere, maybe, I don't know, some Tarantino movies. If you watch, I watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff on Blu-rays and DVDs. Quentin has a thing he does on set. Get any of his Blu-rays that got behind the scenes where he says, he'll do this after if you've been on a film set, drinker, you have 18-hour days, everyone's kind of loopy tired, lots of blue jokes going around, but Quentin will stop the set and he'll say, why are we doing this? Because we love making movies. And everyone on the set repeats, we love making movies. So I would say that's an example of a positive set where good film came from that. But a lot of some of the best films in history were made under the worst of circumstances. And the behind the scenes stories sometimes are better than the movie, but like Wizard of Oz, and you could go on and on, some classic films, and the chaos and how they actually got to a good film is a miracle. And Godfather is probably one of the ones that's most common, but I would say any Tarantino movie and watch some BTS. It's inspiring, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I try to document some of these movies that have disastrous productions, and it's a complete mixed bag. Like sometimes you end up with a shit film, sometimes the movie ever doesn't even get made at the end of it. Other times you end up with like absolute cinematic joy. And it's a complete mixed bag. But I don't know.
Do you know the story of Terrence Stamp, where he was to play General Zod in Superman? Directed by Dick Donner, right? So he had been like that. He just got plucked and hired out of the blue. He was off in India, like on some retreat, and for some reason he didn't talk to anybody. He acted really weird. It worked. Obviously, he has that minor scene in the opening of Superman, and it's such a presence, right? That simple short scene really set up the sequel so well. When you read like what he was going through as an actor, because he basically just went off and he was just, we want him. I don't know. I think things like that. I love little stories like that. Like actors meet each other on set, and then not going to get into the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively shit. That's a shit show.
No.
And that movie was weird. I saw it. It was weird film. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean that's still ongoing, and apparently he's brought all the receipts. So
it seems like some people might be assholes in the movie industry. Who would have thought? Anyways, I go on and on about that.
What was the next one? Simon Ho says, try not to judge Captain America too harshly. His woke interview was in Italy, and he was only trying to reintroduce fascism to the country. Jesus. Jacob Josephs, member for 2 months, says, I guess we can no longer call Anthony Mackie Captain African American Black Falcon Man, but Captain Black African Falcon Man instead. That's fair, yeah. Get it correct. Jinmai Shah says, ultimate matchup for the panel, Ryan Kinnell's forehead versus the Critical Drinker's forehead. Who wins? Assuming that both are at the height of their power. I don't have a national anthem for mine, so I think Ryan's might win on that one. Mr. E says, if read, you are 3 for 6 on Mr. E super chats. If you have to do better, Critical MauLer, I object. What's that? Have I missed out on your super chats? Not knowingly, for sure. Alex Moffat says, I recommend Anora. It's a great indie film about a topic that I haven't seen covered in storytelling. It's well made and quite funny. Plus, there's boobs. I mean, say no more.
There is.
Really.
Nora is a good movie. Nora's funny. There's some really well shot, funny scenes. Very, very good comedic timing. Very well directed and excellent acting. It's funny because the story is it's about a hooker who gets who marries a Russian billionaire's son, and then there's the fallout from that when the dad tries to get the marriage annulled, and he sends his goons to go and try to get it annulled. And the acting, the kid who plays the Russian billionaire's son, he's really funny and really likable, but he's also this kind of degenerate layabout who just is a complete wastrel. So there's almost this kind of cognitive dissonance in that, he's a complete wastrel, but you also kind of like him because he's so fun. He's a really good character and great performance from the actor. And the girl who plays Honora is brilliant. That's a really good movie, and it's up for Best Oscar, and it's one of the Best Picture, and it's one of the Oscar movies that is actually good, and I would recommend watching.
Well, that makes a nice change, yeah.
Yeah, I also recommend his previous film, Red Rocket. Very funny. I think it's probably better than Honora, but check that out.
Cool. Stephen DeLeon says, what do you call a lesbian dinosaur? A lick-a-lot-of-puss. Shout out to West Texas.
Beautiful.
Okay. Thanks, man. Chipmunk of Vengeance has just become a member, so thank you. Denim Ho says, Gruß aus Deutschland. Yeah, sure. And to you. Graf Webb says, cancel Disney Plus. Good advice. Night Sky King says, hello, drinker and panel. Just wanted to say, Sir Despot, that I absolutely enjoyed your Worst of Woke video yesterday at work. Excellent stuff, and keep up the awesome work.
Thanks very much, man. The only award show worth watching anymore.
It absolutely is. I'm like halfway through it at the moment. I think my favorite bit was your award for the plastic bag that that kills the girl in The Crow. I want that to get its own franchise. Just like floating around, landing on people.
It's Sir Plastic Bag. I don't know if you've got
Plastic Bag, yeah.
Yeah, Sir Plastic Bag. Best character in the movie.
You have to see, I actually do an award show every year. I've done for the last 5 years called Award This. We award indie movies no one has heard of that deserve attention. In 20 categories, about 80 films get nominated. We do it live. We have a host, an announcer. So it'll be on YouTube on Monday. I'll pop you a link. It's we even do merch. I've got this shirt. It says the Oscars can suck it. And really the purpose of the show is just to promote these small indie movies. We talk about there needs to be an alternative. There is, it exists. It's small indie movies that are horror, sci-fi, animation. Just go to awardthis.com, and it's the only award show that the public can buy a ticket to and go to the party. So if you were in town, drinker, I'd invite you.
Ah, thanks, Chris.
Yeah. So I can hook you up, but yeah.
Thank you. Scores says, Drinker, your last video on Captain America was extremely fair. Well done, my friend.
I love that video that you did, and I watched Asmongold react to your video.
Yeah, he even called me fair, which was nice.
Yeah, I thought you were reasoned. You weren't going off or being hyperbolic. I thought it was really good. So appreciate that.
That's a nice change of pace for me being reasonable. Don't expect it to continue.
Yeah.
Jeremy Soden says, just watched EFAP Movies 31, Malignant, hilarious. Gonna watch myself ASAP.
It's a fun one.
Yeah. Was I in that one, actually?
I think you were.
We watched it together, didn't we? And that was quite the experience.
Wacky movie.
Yeah. Calamantas says, hey guys, big fan from Egypt. Who would be your dream actor / director collaboration? Mine would be Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan. Interesting. Yeah. Who would we like to see work together?
Well, you know what? One that I think is really cool that I guess I'm only suggesting now because it's actually happening from what I know is that Anthony Hopkins is working with Guy Ritchie for something. I was like, that sounds like a fun combo. The kind of characters that Guy Ritchie comes up with, it would be interesting to see Anthony Hopkins try one of those,
I cannot imagine him as like a London gangster. But
that's
I want
the thing.
to see
That's
it.
kind of why I want him to try it. I'd be like, yeah, fuck it.
I want to pair Gal Gadot up with like Robert Eggers or something, like just to force a fucking performance out of her.
I'll tell you what, an absolutely brilliant pairing that I loved was Kirsten Dunst with Lars von Trier for Melancholia.
Oh wow!
Which is have you seen that movie?
I have not. No.
Oh,
it's an amazing movie, and she's incredible in it. But I love that movie, and That's what because Kirsten Dunst is maybe my favorite actress, and she was so wasted in Civil War. Like what the fuck? She didn't. It's like she didn't even know what to do. The direction was so vague, and the character was so vague. It was a real shame.
That whole movie was vague. I never really got the point of what it was trying to actually tell us. It didn't really feel like it was saying anything. It was
frustrating because you've got a great actress like Kirsten Dunst. It's like she can't. There's nothing for her to do. Like she just sort of. She's there. She's on the set. She's trying to do what she can with this empty script. Fuck, I don't get people who like that. I mean, I understand why they like the movie. They think that it has something profound to say, but Civil War was a big disappointment for me last year.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just empty spectacle, and it doesn't even do the spectacle aspect of it particularly well because didn't have the budget
dumb.
for
I mean, when they storm the White House at the end, it's like one squad of soldiers storming the fucking White. It wouldn't be one squad of soldiers. They'd have the place surrounded with thousands of soldiers.
Yeah,
they wouldn't even need to storm the White House. Everyone would surrender. It's just dumb. And
they wouldn't let journalists within 10 miles of that place if that was going on.
Yeah, that was the low point of that director's career. Fuck, his name escapes me. What is it?
Yeah, Alex Garland. I like him. I
his
really
best
like
stuff, his best. No, he's good. He's good. His best movie is Dread, and which he co-directed with another guy. And I mean, I quite like Annihilation. Although it's very heady. It's very heady, very heavy in terms of visual symbolism and themes and stuff like that. But still a good movie. But yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with 28 years later. Like, can he make a comeback? And because he's writing that.
God, that looks so good.
The trailer is good.
I'm interested in seeing that one now.
But then we've got Nia DaCosta directing the one after that. So
I don't understand. I don't understand how she still gets work after the Marvel.
That was a strange choice. I don't know if it was just like, we'll fund this movie, but you have to have a diverse director do something within this trilogy that you're planning. It's like, Nia DaCosta, I guess. I don't know. It just felt like a trade-off. I wouldn't have picked her for something like this.
Has anyone seen The Candyman? I know she directed that.
I think Jay Longbourn hated it, from what I know.
Yeah, apparently it's garbage. Like, I don't think she's done anything to really recommend herself for any particular projects at this point.
No, I think she's just sort of a resident box ticker, if we're being honest about it.
Yeah. Samael says, fuck yeah, I just defeated Ludwig the Cursed. Also, hi.
Good job. Stuff
awesome. Yeah, we're pleased. TJ Jordan says, well, any hype or hope the Daredevil trailer built up has just been destroyed. They just can't help themselves. Well, I guess that's the Captain America stuff. Shaker Silver says, no pass given for being nice/weird. Crap is just crap. I mean, harsh, but fair. And Master of Puppets says, hi all, what's your favorite scene in a bad/goofy movie? Mine is in Van Helsing when Dracula and Helsing first meet. Also, Longman, as funny as the Tipples Decline was, I found Metal's one funnier.
I mean, that's fair.
Are you going to stand for that, MauLer?
Yeah, I mean, I'll stand for anybody picking any of those custom characters. To be honest with you, I thought I was never going to be able to beat out Az's custom creation, but I wanted it to be unique, whatever I came up with. And, I think I achieved that somewhat. So that's what's important.
I mean, I like the fact that each of you took a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't all just go for the same character and try and do the same things. You all went in different creative directions, and we got to see the results of it. And that was nice. I like that. Strange Days says, does Amelia Perez, or we've had that one actually, that came out during the stream. The Wicker Man says, the Spanish in the film, especially Selena Gomez, is broken. This film is a film trans, Mexicans, film bros, and theater kids all join forces together to hate. Yeah, not a popular one, it seems. And
by the way, they could have used AI to fix the accents. They did that in The Brutalist. They gave
really?
Adrian Brody, they fixed his accent, his Hungarian accent with AI. And there's a big controversy about it. You can look it up. They can use AI to tweak the voice, almost using auto-tune to make the accent more authentic.
Chris, I have a question.
The actors to do a better job, no?
Right. Well, there's a controversy. Like, does he deserve the acting nod because his accent was augmented? But I mean, they use a lot of things to augment actors' performances. Wardrobe, makeup, whatever. Like it's a worthy debate. Not now. You're reading supers, but you might want to pay attention to that for later.
Yeah. Riz A says the weird thing is that the director's previous films are actually really good. Rust and Bone is underrated in my opinion. Okay. TJ Jordan, does anyone else think that House of the Dragon should no longer be a prequel to Game of Thrones and instead should be the start of be a new start to one day redoing the books? I mean, I don't know how that would work, but
How healthy is the Game of Thrones franchise right now? Because I'm done with it myself after House of Dragon season 2, and I think a lot of people are because my last video there.
I agreed 100% with your assessment when I watched your video.
Yeah, because and the other thing, it was I was reading through the comments and I got some pushback on The Boys season 4. People were saying, "Oh no, it's always been kind of left wing and it's always been kind of political." And I got a little bit of pushback on Arcane season 2. People saying, "Oh no, it's not as bad as you're getting on." Nobody disagreed about House of Dragon. Every comment I seen about House of Dragon season 2, everybody agreed and thought, "Yeah, it was shit," and I'm done with. So many people saying they're done with the franchise.
It just became, I wouldn't go so far as to say it was shit entirely. It was more just, I got gradually disengaged from it. Like, it just felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. I started to care less and less about the characters, and it was slow to the point of being just tedious at a certain point. And it ends on a really bum note where, like, nothing... Stuff's about to happen. It's like you're cock teased to the point where it's like, oh, we're going to have the interesting stuff happen now, and then boom, it ends. And it's like, oh, fucking hell. Are you not going to give us anything apart from miserable people standing in dark rooms ranting at each other?
There's plenty of moments and little pieces and plot lines and certain characters that I was really, really happy with. But like that last episode, I felt like Allison got completely destroyed. There was a couple of other bits of damage throughout the season, everything to do with that. What's her name? The one that it fucking is ruining everything in Rhaenyra's plotline. That lady.
Yeah, the her lesbian love interest.
That one. That character is a death spiral. Wherever she goes, the plot becomes hyper retarded. With all that said, the thing was there was supposed to be 2 more episodes. We would have gotten a big, which is somewhat standard for the formula of the Game of Thrones shit. Episode 9 is oftentimes the big fight scene sort of episode. And then we get 10 as the aftermath. We only got 8 this season. They chopped it down from 10. And so season 3 is going to begin with their big, fight thing, which I think is going to cripple this show overall once it's all said and done. That this is like a huge mistake from HBO because pretty sure the showrunner said he wanted the 10 and he couldn't get them. He wanted to, make the season functional, which I think it would have been received way fucking better if it had the big battle that's on its way.
And this is the thing, like, the show wasn't exactly on firm ground to begin with. Like, season 1 definitely rekindled people's faith that they could still tell good stories within the Game of Thrones universe, and that was awesome. But it needed a good second season to cement that, and we didn't get one. And I feel like the interest has just waned so much now. I feel like so many less people are going to come back and tune in for season 3 now. Because they're going to lose interest.
They had their shot and they blew it. Because obviously, Game of Thrones season 8 was Game of Thrones season 8. We don't need to talk about that. But that trashed the franchise, and they had a shot. You can get a second chance with an audience, but I think they blew it at this stage.
Well, they got that Night of the Seven Kingdoms on the way, right?
What's that?
That does. It's the next show that it's based on the Dunk and Egg books.
Yeah, I could see it slowly but surely just turning into another slop franchise like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think it could. Or just like the Marvel TV shows.
Yeah.
Just like more and more content coming out. And it's like the Game of Thrones brand isn't that big that it can support all these different shows. I just don't think there's enough interest there, especially after how Game of Thrones itself ended. Bo Briscoe says, holy shit, finally caught an open bar live. I'm always at work when they're on. Cheers, brothers. Hail the bar. And watch out for Ryan. He gets a little wiry after a few. Too much time out of the Navy for him now. Yeah, well, it's all right. I think he bailed out before he got too drunk. So he did okay tonight. And the FGC Sensei says, as bad as the Oscars are, let's all just be grateful. Oh, that's the Destiny one. Yeah, I'm not going to finish on that one. We did that already. Snex says Emilia Perez should be should be nominated for an Oscar Mayer. There you go. What are they again? Is that a wiener?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
It's
okay.
a wiener. It's a wiener.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Nice. I'm probably going to finish up there with the super chats. I know I haven't gotten through all of them tonight, but I do want to finish before my webcam dies or my internet dies again. It's been a weird night with this stuff, like all kinds of weird technical problems. And I'm sorry that you had to stare at a black screen for a good 20 minutes while I got that working again. But thanks, Chris, for being tech support. I appreciate
No
you, man.
worries.
Thanks, man. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's joined us for tonight, and thank you for all the super chats that you've sent. We will catch up with them as we always do. And to my mods as well, thank you for doing the awesome job that you guys always do. I believe that the Outcast Creative, they're going to be doing a stream right after this, so please head over there and give them some support as well. But for today, that is all we've got. So go away now.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
Right.